The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the Coalition or of any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only. Throwdown.
What is up, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 28. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Hello, everybody. Just
Brian
making sure that my
Manjoma.
microphone is on.
Yes, Brian Manjoma.
Is the year of like PS4 exclusive set in Victorian times or something? Or what?
I think so.
Wait. Victorian times hunting werewolves.
Yes.
Very important. You got Chris Seeley in the house.
Oh, it's the night of the hunt, it is.
And Anthony Nash.
What's up?
All right, Brett will be joining us shortly, and we're going to vamp a little bit. He specifically said, do not talk about Bloodborne before I get in here, so we're going to do that.
Here's one thing. I'm guessing it's always the night of the hunt in Bloodborne world.
Yes. Oh, man. By the way, here's some fun stuff. Brett and Anthony didn't know what vamping was. What we're doing now, this is vamping. We're just filling up time.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's cool stuff.
Yeah. By the way, you guys notice I forgot to turn my fucking light on before we started?
Yeah,
You were in the dark.
I was in the dark.
You're dark, man.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Hey, once again, I want to give a big shout out to Khalif and Cicero from Spawn on Me. That was a great fucking episode, man.
Yeah, that
Lots
did.
of fun with those guys.
I think we said this before. It did really well. I mean, it's maybe because we got the Chicago Nation coming checking out, which is cool. I mean, those guys have been really, cool, like cool, and also really lucky to get a lot of the things that they've gotten. It's really cool to see them kind of coming up.
I like the way they do it. They're just like, hey, let's just ask. If they say no, they say no.
Well, that's the magic about asking. You never know. I mean, a lot of people get into these sorts of phases where it's like, oh my God, I don't know if it's gonna ever happen. I'm so afraid. Just ask. If the person says no, then they say no, and it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but Charles Singletary had something similar. He asked a couple people, and we're going to get some big people coming on, a coalition one day. I think it's all about asking. It's all about asking.
I think the thing is about a lot of these people is just like they just have some extra. If they have extra time and they have a webcam, it's all good. That's how. Some of these guys got David Hayter and stuff like that. It's just David Hayter had a break in his schedule, and he just wanted to talk stuff.
Yeah, works. So that's pretty cool. Again, shout out to those guys, and hopefully we'll have them on again, and hopefully we'll be on their show again because it's always good.
I'm probably going to be on there before you because I'm going to do another interview with them on at C2E2 on the floor.
Plug. What you going to be showing off at C2E2, man?
Oh, are you asking what I've been doing?
Yes. What have you been doing lately?
I'll show you.
Like, man, we were in a chat room last night, playing Bloodborne. These guys were, but you weren't there. What were you doing last night?
No, I was doing this.
Drawing Metal Gear.
I was drawing stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you ever stop drawing Metal Gear?
Here's the thing. There's a method to this madness. If you guys have been paying attention to my Twitter, there's just been an insane amount of Metal Gear artwork. What is happening is that I'm expanding a book called Solid Zero. It was a little art book that I made, which collected a bunch of my Metal Gear themed artwork from throughout the years. I'd drawn bunches of stuff here and there. So it was just I didn't have a lot of time to create a book, because usually every comic show or every year I'll create a special book of my artwork to sell off at my table. That year I didn't have anything, so what I did was I just collected all my stuff, and then I added maybe a few pieces to make it, so it didn't have a bunch of old shit. Okay. The thing is, there was a bunch of images that I wanted to do to fill out the book. I never got time to finish it all. So what you're seeing on Twitter is that. There's just every single bit of thing that I've had on there.
Okay, yeah.
So is this book like mainly like an MGS3 book? Because I've noticed there's a lot of MGS3.
But if you looked at the week before, it was a bunch of Metal Gear Solid 2 stuff. So it's just right now. This, at least for the next few days, it's going to be Metal Gear Solid 3 stuff. So I'm drawing Ocelot right now. I'm drawing. I'm going to draw the Shagalhad, and then I'm going to draw, because I don't have any like larger images of Snake. It's just mostly headshots. So there's that. Then I go on to Metal Gear Solid 4, which I'm going to draw the Beauties and the Beast girls, and Metal Gear the Mark Zero, just to fill that section. Then Peace Walker, I'm going to have Peace Walker. What do I got? Peace Walker, I don't really need to do very much. I think I'm going to just draw Metal Gear Zeke, and maybe draw what's her face, Dr. Strangelove.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And yeah, I'm not going to call it a day, even though I really would like to draw Amanda, but I'm trying to pick and choose things. Some of them, picking the ones that I would find really fun and iconic to do, and stuff like that. Maybe I'll draw Miller, but I really don't, whatever. And then going forward on the final stuff, for Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm going to be probably going to draw another version. Well, I'm going to put in the image that we did for last week's show, which was the No More Metal Gear image, and then I'm going to put in. Then I'm going to draw DD, the dog, the support buddy dog, and then I'm going to draw Quiet, and then just fill it out there, and then that's it. That'll be the end of the book.
But what about Rising?
Rising, I'm going to do one. I already have Rising stuff in there, but there was a lot of requests when I originally sold the book. Why isn't Jetstream Sam in the book? So I'm going to draw Jetstream.
I like your face. You're like, I'm going to draw him.
I'm not that familiar with Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and I don't really care for the game that much, but I do understand that there are a lot of fans of the game, especially of Jetstream, so I'm going to throw them in there. I'm also going to throw in some, just for the end of it, I'm going to throw in some stuff from the other Metal Gear games. So I'm going to throw in some stuff from Metal Gear Acid. Maybe there's one character I really want to draw in there. Also wanted to put some Portable Ops things in there. I wanted to draw Null, which is Gray Fox, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, I can get through these. One thing about a lot of these images, I've already designed them already. They're already been drawn already, thumbnailed or sketched. So it doesn't take a lot to kind of get the idea out. So I've been just kind of rolling through everything.
So then, how long does it take from going from a concept in your head to finished product, roughly?
The concept in my head could be somewhere between. It'll be the concept doesn't really usually take very long. I try to think of things that are iconic moments or things that people kind of remember. So, or I'll do a piece that's very reminiscent of something that you might have seen in the game. It doesn't take that long to actually get the to have the idea, because a lot of the content's already there for you. So it's all kind of picking and choosing things that look interesting or that you remember as being interesting. And then there's the actual drawing part, where that can take me maybe around 6 hours or less. Like Ocelot here, the one that I just showed you guys, that didn't take that long. That took me maybe 2 hours to do that initial sketch, and then now I'm doing all my blacks, doing spotting blacks and kind of making it feel a little bit Shinkawa-esque. Okay. But and also the one other thing about the book is I'm trying to. It's very easy to kind of clone Shinkawa's work because it's so iconic. But at the same time, I don't want to do a book of Shinkawa's work because at the same time, it also gets a little bit boring because it becomes just like you're spitting out a formula. So what I'll do is, if you look at a lot of the pictures I've posted on Twitter, some of them are painted, some of them are line art, some of them are, just have a bunch of extra effects on there just to kind of make it interesting, so each image has its own kind of theme to it.
Okay.
Awesome. And people will be able to buy this.
Yes, people will be able to buy this at my table, which is at C2E2. I can't remember what my table is as of now, but we got time. I'll definitely mention it on there. Also, some of the prints I'm thinking of doing is if you guys have seen it, there's a liquid snake one. I'll pop that up for you guys.
Yeah, man, show it.
I'll show you that. There's a liquid snake one that I did that I really wanted to do as a poster. So I'll pop that in. So that one right there.
Nice.
Liquid Snake wants you for the Genome Army. I think
That's awesome.
that might make a fun poster for people.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And then there's another one. I'll show you the one that I just finised. Sure.
You people listening, you have to just trust us. This shit is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you got. Main thing is you check out my Twitter, emanland at emanland, and I have all of those things on there. So this is the Fury.
The Fury.
The Fury.
Question about the beauties that you've been doing. Will they be in the suits or without the suits?
I'm going to draw them not in the suits because those suits are fucking insane to draw. Like, I'm good at mechanical things, but I can't like to do mechanical things take a long time. Like I drew for the original run of this book, I drew the original Metal Gear Ray. I'm at Rex. Sorry.
Rex.
I drew Metal Gear Rex, and that took me a long time to do. Same thing with the Fury one that I just showed. That one took me maybe a lot, like maybe like 12 hours to do.
Wow.
Because just drawing the initial artwork was just finding all the reference, because the Fury, you never see his face. And I wanted to show his face underneath the mask. It's so easy to kind of just draw him as a big space helmet. So just finding the reference for his mask and all that other junk that goes underneath when he pulls his helmet off was really difficult. So, the more technical things take a lot more time.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. A quick thing: we were supposed to have Damien on this week, but given all the the subject matter, he wasn't going to be able to speak too much. So we asked him to be on next week, which actually works better for him because next week is a holiday on a Friday. I don't know what holiday it is, so he'll be able to just talk with us all night on Thursday. So it'll be perfect.
And there's just a lot of things that happened this week.
It's insane. And then the other thing I want to bring up, and I want to expand on this, while we're waiting for Brett, because this is too funny. So Chris put out his editorial, Nintendo, and people went crazy. They like, this is the worst written thing I've ever seen. Fire this man, all this crazy shit. And then we found out the reason for this. Chris, tell us what happened.
Somebody on Twitter hit me up and asked me if the article was a joke, and I said, no, it's not a joke. I'm serious. Like, I said maybe it sounds a bit heated, but it's a real article. He's like, oh, because you're getting all this negativity because it got posted to 4chan. I was like, oh no, that just explains everything. So it's like a backed up toilet just outflowing into the coalition to read this article and writing the dumbest comments ever.
But them hits though. Them hits.
Yeah, thank you 4chan for that. We appreciate the hits, but yeah, that explains why we're like, who are these people? Here's the thing, let's be honest. A lot of the guys that come to Coalition, the regulars, they could get pretty heated, but they'll never question your writing. They'll question what you're talking about, but they'll never call you into question. These guys were doing that really insulting shit. And one guy, and I'm just going to be completely transparent about it, Richard got a fucking email from one of these guys saying that Chris needs to apologize to Nintendo.
I actually need to apologize to the company.
It's insane. It's like
that's the thing about doing opinion pieces. It's just you don't need. Why would you need to apologize for something like that?
Chris, what was some of the stuff they didn't like you saying in there? Do you remember?
They didn't like the fact that I said they should shelf Mario. They didn't like when I said that let Game Freak do something else, give them another project besides Pokemon. They said I used harsh language, which maybe I cursed once, and that obviously was too much. I somehow broke some sort of journalistic ethic rules, but they didn't say what I broke. Like, I don't... Last time I checked, it was the Second Amendment, and as long as you don't commit libel, then you're fine. So I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, very entertaining, man. Chris, we got to get you to write a happy editorial about Nintendo, because
Yeah.
Well, if I talk about classic Nintendo, I'll be fine. I could write a happy editorial all day.
Yeah, you mean when Nintendo actually mattered? Oh.
I could write if you said like, hey Chris, you should talk about N64. You talk about Super Nintendo. Even if you said we should do like a things on the 3DS, I'd be like, okay, I got no problem with that.
Oh, too much, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you just have this way of setting people ablaze, Chris.
I don't know what it is. I push buttons, I guess.
Which is funny because you're like a soft-spoken dude, you know.
Well, you know the thing is about Chris, he knows how to cut you with one word.
Apparently, even if I write it, if I just typed it somehow, it's just. These guys got really livid. They were hitting me up on Twitter too. I was like, oh.
Wow. Hey man, it was that Jumpman reference. That's what it was. You say you shouldn't have said that, man.
That was it. That's what set everybody off, Jumpman.
It's Mario, not Jumpman. He hasn't been called that for 30 years, you asshole. Oh man. All right, let's move on. Sorry, Brett. We're gonna start without you, buddy. So. Let us talk about Bloodborne, the first big AAA exclusive of the year on Sony.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is like.
Wasn't the order the first?
Yeah, no one counts that, right, Brian?
As I said before it came out, like a month after the order will come out, no one will be talking about it.
It is. It is still a AAA game.
No, you're right. You're right. It's the second one.
No one gives a shit about it anymore. It came, it went.
But you can say that about most games, though. Which is a problem with the industry.
Really has to. The word, the term AAA just means that they spent a lot of money to make that game.
Yeah.
You can have a piece of shit.
Rachel's here. Oh, good. See, they heard us. They heard us talking. Hello, how you doing?
Green light shit happened.
That's how it is.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, Rachel, you missed us talking about how Chris got a bunch of 4chaners pissed off over his Nintendo editorial.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chris wrote an editorial about Nintendo's NX and the whole mobile thing, and so the article got posted on 4chan, and the comment section, just look at it, just swarmed with these idiots telling him that he needs to apologize to Nintendo, that he's a horrible writer, all this shit. It was insane. We even got an email from one of those guys to Richard Bailey. You should fire this man. All this crazy shit. 4chan. Anyway, so yeah, Bloodborne, the second big AAA exclusive of the year came out. And some of you guys have played it. Brett will be here, oh my god, in a little bit. So, Chris, take it away, man. What do you think?
The game is really good if you like really punishingly hard stuff. It is brutal to the extreme. Even I think the first sub-boss was ridiculous. Like, I know, Manny, you were having trouble with him. Our other buddy too couldn't get past him. The cleric.
The giant werewolf, that thing. You know what happened? Because again, I'm literally, I think I spent about 4 hours just trying to get to the point where I could, to do something. So then Brett and you go to me, all you need to do is see the werewolf, and then you could get the bell that helps you out. I'm like, all right, you can call somebody to help you. I'm like, all right. So I ran over to it, dude. That thing slapped me once, and I died. The
game's just unforgiving this time around. Like, there's bosses and these sub-characters who are hunters just like you, so they fire guns and they have fast weapons, and so the fights are really ridiculous.
Really good at dodging.
Yeah. No more hiding behind shields and having thick armor.
No more shields. No more like running up on shit. You walk everywhere you go, or you get shit sprung on you.
It's an interesting dynamic that they switched that around, where it kind of rewards you for being fast, like especially when you get injured. If you're able to hit the other guy fast enough, you can regain all of your energy again if you've lost any during the fight.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it rewards you for being aggressive, basically.
Yeah, it literally rewards you for being aggressive, and pretty much all the blood that you shed.
Nice. Hey, Brett, we started without you because you were late.
But we're not that far in.
We're not that far in. We just got to the tippy part of it.
So yeah, I mean, as a first time of playing these sorts of games, I wasn't frustrated. I never got frustrated with it. I just thought it was really interesting that dying is a mechanic in the game. Literally, when you first come out, you wake up off this table that they've somehow resurrected you or put some blood inside of you, right? And you walk out the door. There's this giant werewolf in the doorway eating some person on the floor, and you can if you're good enough, you can actually fight him. But the thing is that you can't actually kill it because its energy keeps regenerating after you slap the shit out of it with your karate chops. Because that's all you got. You got karate chops.
Well, the question is, Manny, like, what do you learn from dying?
You learn from here's what happens when after you essentially die fighting that thing, then now the game opens up and it's like, hey, here's some weapons. Oh, here, get this stuff. Have this. It's like, oh, now I can kill things. So then now you finally can get past that werewolf that you had in the beginning. So then now you get thrown into the big open kind of world. And then the goal is to kind of get to one of the bosses, which is another giant super werewolf.
But then, like, what do you learn from dying, though, Manny? Like, this game, like, it kills you a lot, so you die a lot. And what do you learn from dying? It's frustrating when you die a lot.
I think I didn't get frustrated by it because I saw it as a learning.
Manny, I hope you know what we're referencing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about that eventually.
So yeah, I didn't get really frustrated with it. If anything, the world was really interesting to kind of keep me coming back, you know.
Hey, look,
and I found out something very interesting, and I didn't realize this. All the doors with the lamps that are lit have people that you can talk to inside.
Yep.
Yeah, you can knock on those doors.
They'll often tell you to just go fuck off.
Yeah, but
That's true.
sometimes they'll go to you like, hey, you want these items? Because what happened is, like, I went back to the hospital where you start off, and I was like, oh, maybe I can go back in that room, and then I see the door's locked, and then you hear some lady, and then she gives you an item. So I'm like, yay!
Yeah, some of them give you stuff. 95% of them just tell you to get out of their face, though, or get away from the door or whatever, which is disparaging. Hurts.
And Nash, this is your first experience with this series, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never played Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 or 2. I mean, I've seen people play it, so I knew what to expect. I wasn't going into it blind, like, oh man, why am I dying so many times? I can't take it. But, Chris was right. The game is very punishing, but it rewards you for learning how to get around certain things. It rewards you it kind of rewards you for dying, because when you die, you learn, okay, don't do that. Do something else now. So you get smarter as you play by dying, basically.
Have you guys ever done that weird like kill move that you get that you can do? Like after you, like, let's say you shoot, like, somebody attacks you and you shoot the gun. That's like the counter, right?
Yeah, the visceral attacks.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah, that's how you, especially for some of the bosses that have a little more like easy to telegraph moves. Not the cleric beast in the beginning, because you could do it to him, but not as easily. You really have to learn how to do that visceral attack and like gun staggering move, because that's going to be a lot more. That's going to be very important, since there's no shields.
It's huge, because in the old games used to parry and then do that same thing, but now you shoot the guy and he gets staggered, and then you.
But if shooting is parrying, how come they don't give you 150 bullets?
Yeah, 150 bullets, man.
Well, they keep on giving bullets like crazy anyway, and what you can do is you can sacrifice some of your energy to make more bullets.
Yeah.
I think you gotta explain that. 150 bullets.
Okay, so, oh god, okay, I gotta calm down. On Wednesday night, Hip Hop Gamer. Okay, even before Wednesday night, he was complaining about the game. Hip hop. Look at Brian. So Hip Hop Gamer, this is a guy who loves every game. He loves every game out there.
Apart from Blood Rain.
And apart from Bloodborne. So he's complaining about this game. He's like, yo, how come I'm dying so much? So he has to stream up. It was the greatest thing ever. Like, he just kept dying and dying and complaining, and he's like, yo, how come they don't give me nothing when I die? And I'm like, what game in history does that besides Call of Duty? Like, I don't get that.
To be honest, this is Bloodborne is actually the first game that gives you, that I can think of, that gives you something when you die. When you die, you actually get axes and stuff.
Yeah, that is true, but yeah,
the beginning of the game.
That's what we're referencing. But oh my god, it was great. And then he comes out with this video talking about how like the gaming industry is hypocritical because they like this game for being hard, but they don't like Knack for being hard. It's like, okay, first off,
Knack was a piece of shit.
Knack was a piece of shit, and it wasn't supposed to be hard. It was just a bad game. This game is deliberately made to fuck you. That's just how it is. He doesn't seem to, and again, Hip Hop Gamer's my boy. But it's like, he doesn't seem to understand. It's like, that's how the game is, dude. It's supposed to be that hard. It's supposed to be that difficult. And this, but, you know, this is a guy who plays every game on easy. You think he was going to, you know, be okay with this?
Yeah, I mean, he's never played any of the other games, then why the hell did he get it? I mean, I guess he gets every game, right?
Well, it's one of, like, Sony's biggest, you know, AAA titles of the year, besides The Order and, you know, what else, you know, in terms of, like, the beginning of the year.
So yeah, that's the point I want to bring up in this. Like, why would you buy a game like this and not do your research prior to it? Because people are complaining. You know why they're complaining? Because they like, oh, look at the commercial, it looks cool. Let me pre-order it without even knowing what the fuck they're getting into. Why is this game so hard? Why can't it be like this? It's like, do your research. It's as simple as that. Why do you think I didn't buy it? Because I know what the game entails. So I'm like, I'm good, you know?
You know, the reason why I bought it's not because of the actual the gameplay or anything like that. I mean, well, you know, partly some of the gameplay things, but it was also just because the world looked kind of interesting to me. You know, they're kind of weird. I call it Castlevania world. This looks like you're in Castlevania. In fact, to the point where you actually have a weapon that looks like, you know, that cane that you get. Yeah. That cane literally reminds me of the vampire killer whip from Castlevania. So I mean, I was just having fun in the, you know, just exploring the world and, you know, of course, you know, dying.
That is a mechanic. By the way, unfortunate news, no Murdochs tonight. They're having some weirdo technical issues, which sucks because Brett is like insanely excited for this. This is like the greatest thing since sliced bread to this man.
You know, I actually the first night I actually he share played. You know, I was up late and I saw he was playing it, and I just, you know, share played it, you know, with him, you know, just to look at it.
Yeah, and here's the thing about this game which is interesting to me. Like, I don't want to play, but I like watching other people play. Like, I did share play with Chris, and I saw him die over and over and over and over and over and over again.
The thing that's cool about the game is because you can kind of turn on any type of stream and watch somebody play it and not really spoil it for you because
they don't get far.
It's not really they don't get far. And
no, also it's
not even a knock on the game, but there's no real story going on to like drive you to keep going. It's just kind of like go here, farm stuff, kill bosses.
Here's the thing. There is a story in it. The thing is that it's not like served up to you like in like, you know, most games. Like, in other words, you have to, you know, interact with the world, like talk to the people to find out what's going on.
Right.
You know, or read those little notes and things that you find. And even just visual storytelling is what also tells you some of the background of the actual world.
Well, they treat it like you're, you know, really like immersive. You're the character. You have no memory. You wake up in this strange place, and this hunt is on, and you find out the lore, just like the character is, right? Not like other games will just give you 2 hours of cutscenes explaining like every single thing that happened. You'd have a flashback. You'd see everybody's happy, baby strollers and shit, and werewolves kill everything, you know. And then everything. But they don't do that. It's just everything is shitty, and you're finding out why slowly.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people have problems with the fact that the game doesn't teach you like really anything, and it's obviously done on purpose. You know, like what Manny said. Like when you first start the game, like you don't know that you're supposed to die to get weapons. You just walk into a room and there's a giant wolf, like just eating somebody, and you don't know what to do.
You know what I did?
The game does it on purpose, where you learn for yourself. It's not going to teach you how to do much.
You know what I actually tried to do? Being that I knew that you couldn't kill that werewolf, I actually ran past it. and ran out of the house.
Well, that's how the real hardcore players play.
That's all I did. I ran out of the house and I tried to run to one of the doors, the gates, to see if I, to get through the gate, and then, damn, God, he killed me outside. So
that's funny.
That werewolf that's there is made to kill you. Which, speaking of werewolves, I tell you, in this game, as opposed to the Order, when you see a werewolf walking around, you know things are going to get fucking serious. Those things, like normal. Okay, the normal sized werewolves are huge, and then you fight like these super werewolves that are like 50,000 feet tall.
Approximately.
Yeah,
they're as big as buildings.
And it's not like the Order where you're like, oh, I just roll and shoot, rinse and repeat, and take all the werewolves out. No, when you see just one, you're like, oh, let me think about this.
Yeah, exactly.
I really want to fight this thing today.
Yeah, this is something Brett told me. It's interesting. He said, because Brett is like, this game's not hard. He says that the reason people think it's hard is because you have to kind of like unlearn all the shit video games have taught you at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit is just not going to work here.
Yeah.
It's true, because if you saw Hip Hop Gamer play, you saw how he played. He just ran into a crowd, started swinging like crazy.
I mean, even if you take it really, even if you take it cautiously, like it's still a pretty. I mean, for me anyway, it's a very tough game for me. Like, and I don't run around just running into groups of people, but you definitely do learn to not play like how you play normal games.
No, Brett has to take that back. Because we did the Chalice dungeons last night, and that shit was way harder than the normal map. We were like, holy shit, there was guys throwing poison knives everywhere. Like, you don't see them, you just see knives coming out of the corner, just smacking you from off screen. You're like, oh shit.
Well, you know what's crazy is I saw on Twitch earlier today, somebody had, like, a couple people had already beaten the game, and they were playing on New Game Plus. And like the enemies were like, they would be using like end game weapons and doing like a quarter of what you should be doing, and the enemies were taking like half the health on every hit.
Oh yeah, New Game Plus just don't.
Just don't.
You know what I also saw, like I saw, because I just for the hell of it I watched one of the reviews. There's this guy who actually got one of those insane asylum gates. That people would wear on their heads.
Yeah, they have a cage helmet on. Yeah,
they have a cage helmet on.
Yeah, somebody made a character that looked like Nick Cage, and they put it on him. It's the bees.
That's funny. They're in my eyes.
Yeah.
Damn it! This whole session got weirded out because Brett was supposed to take over. What else did I want to talk about this game? I don't know. I haven't got nothing else to say because I haven't played it yet. But it seems
something.
I mean, it's a lot of fun. Sorry, go ahead.
How's the soundtrack? Because I really love the soundtrack in Dark Souls.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Super good. I think you can listen to it. It's up on Spotify. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's funny because it's the Order and this game have very similar type of cello soundtracks.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's almost the same. It's almost like two sides of the same coin. It's like you're a werewolf hunting hunter. Except,
yeah. Oh, yeah. The other thing I want to bring up about this game is because it's interesting to me how, like, so for some people it is a system seller, right? But it's not a game for the masses at all.
No.
But you know for a fact it's going to sell a lot because the other game sold a lot. So it's kind of interesting how a game this brutal is that like successful at the same time, because it's probably going to end up selling 2 or 3 million.
There are people that really enjoy this type of. I mean, like, there are games that try to do. Like RPGs that try to do permadeath, and like they know that they really can't, aside from just having like an option set, because the majority of gamers nowadays just really don't like that sort of like dying over and over or losing everything at once. And Bloodborne is really like that. Aside from like you lose everything, you lose like all your XP, all your currency when you die, and if you don't go and get it back and you die again, it's gone. Like it's just not coming back. Yeah.
But some people have been doing though, and I know we noticed this recently. It's like, okay, you can. There's 2 types of little messages that a character in the game can leave. There's one where it's just like a note, and then there's also one where you can see what has happened to the last person who was there.
You can like watch them die.
You can watch them die, and I noticed, and Chris noticed this too. What you see a lot of people dying in the sanctuary.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing that, but they're killing themselves in the Hunter's Dream, which is supposed to be completely safe.
Yeah.
I think what they might be doing is maybe attacking that guy in the upstairs. Maybe he does something to you.
No, they're jumping off. They're jumping off.
Yeah, somehow jumping into the bath messenger fountain is killing them.
Oh wow!
And I don't understand how. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I just see it all the time.
Yeah, but there's just a bunch of people there, but I think you think that you said that you thought that they might be doing it to kind of save their money.
I thought they were just leaving their money in the hunter's dream. That's why they were doing it. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me how they were doing it. Like, I tried jumping off there. I didn't die. I didn't even lose health. So I didn't know how they were doing it.
You know what else is really good about the game is the character designs and the monster designs. It's all like really like, even all the wolves look a lot nicer than like some of the monsters you see in other games, and even the animation, like so you have these weapons that are called trick weapons. So, you know, for instance, the starter weapon that you get is an axe that you can sort of slam into like a two-handed axe. So you have you either have a one-handed axe or you can like attach a pole to it and it becomes a two-handed axe. But some of them that you get are like really well thought out. Like one of them is called the Kirk Hammer, and it's basically you're wearing a tombstone on your back and you have a sword in your hand, and to turn it into a hammer you slam the sword into like the hilt of the tombstone, and now you have this giant hammer to attack people with. So a lot of the weapon animation is really awesome.
Yeah, I thought that one was pretty cool looking. Or I saw another version of that weird kind of scythe sword that you get.
Where he just kind of rolls it around his head to wield it.
I saw an electrical version of that crazy sword. I don't know where the hell they got that thing from.
I got the stake driver, which the best way to describe it is like having a big O arm. It literally, you have a giant stake attached to your hand and you can punch with it, but if you charge it up it just explodes, and it has a gun at the end and it shoots out when you punch.
Yeah, there are spears in the game that you get that have rifles attached to them.
The rifle spears, it's badass.
But yeah, the character animation is great. All the bosses, you know, I've seen two bosses that maybe looks kind of similar. They're just they're both basically just like four-legged, like wolf kind of creatures, but they all have something different that makes them each look like terrifying.
What about the fact that enemies always change shit up on you? Chris, remember you're fighting Father Gascleon or whatever, and you thought you had him down, and then all of a sudden he decided, okay, I'm going to morph now and just
it's like you. I got cocky because I was like just using the tombstones to get between me and him, and I was just picking him off, and I'm like, I got this. Look at this. He can't get past the tombstones. This is great. and then I got
after you half health, he turns into something else, right?
Yeah, he turned into his beast mode, and he just completely demolishes the tombstones to get at you. He just like goes crazy, and he can destroy the entire environment. So I was like, oh shit, there goes my strategy right out the window, and he just owned me.
Some of the bosses have once you get them down past half health, or you know, like maybe like a little bit of their health left, they either go enraged where they just start like swinging wildly every couple of seconds, or they'll turn into something else, and it becomes now you have to figure out how to beat that.
Even like the normal enemies do that shit too, like the werewolves. Like, remember, Chris, you got bitten. You were like, what? I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, he jumped on my face and started eating me. I was like, when did you do that?
Manny, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that there was one that I thought was pretty gross. It was like one of those werewolf monsters, but it had like its skin like over its face. Like it looked like
the boss, right?
That's that one boss.
Yeah,
the Bloodstar Beast.
Bloodstar Beast. Yeah, it was nasty. I had one werewolf barf in my face. Like, he grabbed me and pinned me down, and there's special ones that can slow poison you. He just literally threw up on me. I was like, oh my god, this is so nasty.
I mean, if there's any advice I can give to people playing it, it's never, if you have like I mean, obviously as you level up you're going to need more echoes, but at the start of the game, if you have like 4,000 or 5,000 echoes, just go upgrade or like go do something. Don't keep that much on you, because
don't hoard that money.
It's just going to hurt you. And then definitely learn how to do that gun parry system, because that comes in handy for almost like every enemy.
Hey, Chris,
I'm still thinking about that hip-hop thing. Why don't they give me 150 bullets?
Chris, did you guys beat that one guy that's hiding in the beginning of the first level? There's this dude with an axe that's hiding, like, when you go all the way around.
Oh yeah, down in the alleyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that one guy in the alleyway, and he's like crazy, like, strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I killed him. It took me about 15 tries, but I did it.
Did he have anything good on him? I don't know.
He gave you, I think, Oh man, what did he give you? I think there was a chest there that had maybe extra echo stuff, but nothing, no items or anything like that.
That'd be, give me that armor.
Once you get more armor, once you get more weapons, you can just go back and murder them probably easier.
I have my first goal in that game was actually just to get better armor, and because I also didn't like that silly Harry Potter outfit that he starts out with. So I was like, okay, I want to look like Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Not Harry Potter. Well, see, that's another thing. The game doesn't really, it's an RPG in a sense, I guess. But a lot of people that aren't used to the world are gonna be a little upset because the game doesn't really give you armor unless you kill other people. Like, you don't unlock armor just by leveling up or being able to buy it. You have to kill enemies or kill, NPCs that you find, and they drop stuff that lets you go buy more stuff. So it's not like, oh, you unlock this weapon now. No, it's like you have to go out and earn everything that you get.
Mm-hmm. I kind of have a problem with the insight system, though. I mean, once you hit a certain point, you can get plenty of it, but the fact that you need 10 just to get the items you need to go into other people's worlds is insane. Just to get that first 10 is so hard.
Yeah, the insights. I mean, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's just the game being hard to be hard again, because, like you said, once you get to a certain part, you can kind of just get, you can just keep getting, it's not hard to get after a while.
Yeah, when I wanted it, I could not find any, and then after a while, I was like, oh, I got now 15 all of a sudden.
Well, that's the problem. Once you need it, when you need it, you can't really find it, but then by the time you're kind of good enough to do everything on your own, you find it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, like me. I can't for the life of me beat that first guy. That first character.
The Cleric Beast, honestly, he was the second boss I killed because I found that the father was the easier boss because he telegraphs his moves a lot easier, and you can just kind of stagger him and then do the visceral attack on him over and over, even when he's in his wolf form. But the Cleric Beast is just he goes crazy every time. It's just very erratic.
Nash, I like how when you were watching the video, Hip Hop Gamer's video, he almost beat him.
Oh man, yeah, seriously, that was so. The Cleric Beast took me 20 times to try to beat. It has to be 25 to 30 times trying to kill this boss. So we're watching Hip Hop Gamer stream, and he's demonstrating how the game is so hard, and he goes to fight the Cleric Beast, and he if he had more blood vials, he would have beat it on his second try. And I was just watching no, just come on, please, no, please.
You know what's weird? It's I've gotten killed by silly, even the farmers, it's just stupid shit because I was careless. But I killed the Cleric Beast on the first try.
Wow.
Damn, see, I couldn't do that.
I wish I'd recorded that because I was like, oh my god, I killed that thing.
When I killed the 2 werewolves on the bridge, I killed them in my first try, and I was freaking out because there was some crazy moment that I wish I had recorded. But all the enemies are pretty hard in that game.
They're all bosses.
If you let them, they'll murder you. They'll mob you and they'll murder the hell out of you. I mean, definitely using those little rocks helps you out a lot. Just to kind of separate out the
even
pebbles.
When you gun stagger them and then do the visceral attack, even if you're in a large group of enemies, they can't hit you while you're doing that. So they can swing through you, but it won't do anything to you.
Ooh,
so that's why it's really good to learn how to do that. And the timing is hard because all the enemies have different swings. But if you're fighting the big dudes that carry bricks around or something, you can really time it really easily. And even if there's 2 or 3 around you, you can visceral attack one and then roll away in time to not get hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to give you guys props for playing this game, though, because I was watching Chris and I was getting frustrated. I'm like, what the fuck?
The only time I got really frustrated was actually an hour ago, where I was trying to fight the Bloodstarved Beast, and I got him down to almost 5 inches of his health left, and he murdered me, and I was just I can't tonight.
We'll team up on him.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, that's the other thing I want to ask you guys about. Have you gotten people to invade your game and stuff?
I haven't, not yet.
No, I haven't seen any invaders. I've helped a bunch of people, and I've gotten help. Brett and I played a lot. There's a lot of co-op going on, but I haven't seen any jerks yet.
Well, you know what happens? You can't just be invaded randomly. I don't think what happens is, so there are two bells in the game, right? There are 3 bells really, but the 2 major ones are the beckoning bell and the summoning bell. So you ring the beckoning one to sort of invite other people to come and help you. But what happens is when you ring that bell, an NPC in the game, a woman, rings another bell in your world that invites people to invade your game, unbeknownst to you. So you don't know if people are joining to help you or joining to kill you.
Yeah, you gotta kill her.
Yeah, so I don't think that can happen. Like, I don't think you can be invaded randomly unless you call for help from other people.
Yeah, you can't be invaded unless you ring the beckoning bell. Then you open it up.
Pretty much. I think I heard. Hey, I see Rachel here.
I thought it was Brett talking though.
No, yeah, this is me.
Brett, it's you.
It's the best way I can get on right now.
Hey, whatever works, man. Okay, Brett, your thoughts on the game?
What? Just in general?
Yeah.
I have to apologize to Miyazaki for honestly ever doubting him.
And you got his name right too. The whole time.
You mean Hayao Miyazaki? He made this game?
Not him. He
has a whole other side to his personality.
Yeah, I thought I was getting his name wrong the whole time. No, turns out I've been getting it right.
You're right.
Yeah, turns out the hype train is real. I mean, the most I can say is in a somewhat modest, sheepish tone that this very well might be the best entrance into the Souls series. Maybe. And if that is true, the Souls series is very likely, in my opinion, the best made game of all time, or the best made games of all time. So I'm kind of in awe, just going over the numbers like a scientist in a disaster movie, being like, this can't be right, but this might be the best video game ever made.
That is a bold statement. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I say might be because I'm not done with it yet. I haven't had a chance to really find any of its real glaring flaws, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, I think I like this maybe a little bit better than Dark Souls. Just maybe. And if that's true, like, Souls series, they get some of the highest praise that I can honestly give a game.
All right, you had to explain this whole thing. Why are you saying all this?
Okay, the Souls games are some of the best video games ever made because they are some of the only video games that treat the medium to its fullest potential. A video game is not a movie. It is not an interactive set piece. It has things very unique to the medium that, honestly, video games haven't been around long enough for people to really start exploring that. But the true idea of interactivity and how do you deal with interactivity with an audience? How do you deal with a narrative, with a story, with ambiance, with all of these things when dealing with a player? And I honestly feel that Miyazaki, with the Souls games, hits the nail on the head just about every time in the sense that he gives you a world to explore. He doesn't just throw a story in your lap and go, there you go, interactive set piece. The biggest problem with a lot of games right now is even as they get better, they just take their cues from blockbuster movies. And that's not necessarily always a good thing because games have an inherently different set of layers to them than movies do. So I feel that a lot of the Souls games, and especially Bloodborne, take full advantage of what a video game can be. It is story, yes. It is also, in a weird way, a form of art, especially if you take art in its most basic terms of, like, is it something that moved you? Is it something that stuck with you? Or my personal definition of when something becomes more than the thing that it is. You could be a master carpenter and you could make a chair, but when you make a chair that is so fucking good, you can barely even call it a chair anymore because it's attained something else. Like if you carve dragons and shit into it and just make it the most badass, like the Game of Thrones throne, you could call it a chair, yes, but it's so much more than a chair. It's a thing of grandeur and a thing of beauty, and it transcends what a chair can be. And I kind of feel that that's what the Souls games really do. They not only leave a lasting impression, they tend to ruin all of their video games. They touch upon something that's deeper, and there's no other way to say it than it is what a video game is supposed to be. It may not be everybody's flavor, it may have its own flaws, but down at its heart, this is the next step of evolution in video games, is truly learning and mastering the environment to tell a story so that the player participates as opposed to just observes.
Very interesting. The other thing I want to ask you is, because you said another interesting statement to me. You said this game is not that hard.
It's really not.
Even though you were getting killed by a bunch of poison spears, according to Chris, like you.
Oh, those guys were sons of bitches. The Chalice Dungeon was fucking
there's an
different.
exception to this statement.
Yeah, no, I hadn't played the Chalice Dungeon. I was playing the Chalice Dungeon with Chris, and we were both like, "What the fuck? Like, this thing is ridiculously punishing." And it's set up to be almost cruel to you in a way, but it almost never makes it so that you have to be beaten like a redheaded stepchild. Like, but you should have checked around that side for werewolves before you just came bounding into that room.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard just to be hard, just to say, oh, we're a hard game. Like, it's meant to teach you how to play. It's like, it doesn't teach you how to play the game through, like, conventional ways. It teaches you by you dying. In your head, you're supposed to go, oh, maybe I won't be like a moron and just run in and try to murder everybody at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've played games on hard that are just, like, punishing. Like, fucking Ninja Gaiden is punishingly hard. The fact that it makes you, fight a boss, then, cut through to another checkpoint, fight 9 million other guys, then fight an Apache helicopter, then fight a tank, then fight a second tank, and then there's your fucking save point. Like, it's not that kind of thing where it's an endurance run. If you're careful and smart, it's not necessarily... It's hard because it's never unfair, and I guess that's where I make the distinction. Like, there have been points where the only thing that I thought was kind of cheap, and even then it was fair, was I made the mistake of trying to roll between two werewolves and did not get the spacing right, so I got stuck between their knee, and simultaneously both hit me with a strong attack that obliterated my health bar from full to nothing and instant killed me. And I was like, yeah, that kind of sucked. And I thought, well, that's what happens when you try and roll between werewolves. Sometimes you run into your knee.
When you die in the game, it's really your fault. It's not the game's fault, unless... there are like maybe like 1 or 2 times where the game maybe like messes up or something, like frame rate wise, but 99% of the time, if you die, you're the reason you died.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's not that. Even Dark Souls was bad about like the camera would glitch out every once in a while and you'd backflip off a cliff and die. Like that kind of thing really pissed me off, and there's very little of that. I'm shocked because the Souls series usually punish you, but like here's these precarious ledges, have fun falling to your doom.
Something. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was done. Go ahead.
No, go. I totally lost it anyway.
No, you lost. That was fast.
No, that's a good point. It's not happening in these kind of open forests or mountainsides. Like you're just in this little gothic town, and everything is tight or enclosed.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I wanted to ask you guys. Is this an open world game?
Mm-hmm.
It is. Okay.
Relatively open.
Yeah, in the most broadest sense that you could probably describe something as open world. Yeah.
It's open
like
world, but not sandbox.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's open world in the sense that it allows you to pretty much go where you want. You just kind of, it's the difficulty of the enemies that usually stops you.
Yeah, in fact, the first game was kind of the first Dark Souls. That's one of its hallmarks is you can go up or you can go down. And they're like, well, which should I do? And they're like, whatever you want. You're like, okay. Well, clearly there's a right answer here. And the game's like, oh, yeah, there's a right answer. I'm not telling you, though.
Oh, yeah, but you learn eventually. You will learn.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, like, you go up to, like, Old Town, and you're like, oh, clearly I'm in the wrong place. And then you go down, and you're like, nope, Old Town was the right place.
One thing that happened to me is that, I did actually manage to summon some money into my game, and they didn't go where I wanted them to go. They decided to go into the sewers. So I'm like, all right, so I guess I'll follow you in the sewers. Died.
Sometimes they'll do that to show you cool stuff. Like, you'll summon somebody, and you're like, come on, this way. And they'll just go running off away, and you're like, the fuck? And you'll go chasing them, you'll fight your way through like 9 million bad guys, drop onto a hidden ledge, and then they'll point at a set of hidden armor, and you'll be like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's open world, and then, like, some like, normal open world games, wherever you go, there's usually something for you to, like, do, like, side missions, whatever. This one, it's just, like, if you choose the wrong way to go, it's just like, oh, here's just a room full of, like, 8 enemies, that's it. That's all.
Yeah. It gives you the choice. It punishes you for the choices that you make, but it still gives you the option.
Yeah, it's like, you went left. We gave you the option to go right, but you chose wrong.
It's kind of like saying, Tony, if I gave you the choice for lunch between a grilled cheese sandwich and a brick, you'd probably choose the grilled cheese sandwich. But I still technically gave you a choice.
Yes, you did, technically.
Yeah, but you don't know the brick is there. You don't know where the grilled cheese is.
Yeah, that's like, oh, do you want this grilled cheese or like this mystery meal that's wrapped in tinfoil?
It's
like,
like,
oh man, maybe the mystery meal, and then like somebody hits you in the face with a brick. Well, like,
Yeah.
oh well, you could have chosen the grilled cheese if you really wanted to.
And between you and the grilled cheese sandwich is 50 monsters. And between you and the brick is 80 monsters. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Either way, you're fucked. Oh, Brad, the other thing I wanted to ask you was about your statement how you said that people need to unlearn stuff they've learned from other games. So what exactly do you need to unlearn, exactly?
Oh, first of all, forget you ever played God of War. That is the biggest piece of advice I can give you.
That's
when playing
funny
this
for
game.
so many reasons, and Brian knows why. We were talking about hip-hop gamers. I told you about that, yeah. That's his favorite franchise right there. So.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, this is not God of War. If you think you're going to go on like an unstoppable death god just wading into an enemy or 4 enemies, like this is not going to happen. Like you are not a damage sponge. The amount of health you have is finite.
You're like 2 hits.
Well, not even that. Like, your health does not regenerate. So, like, yeah, you may kill this townsperson, but if he takes off half your life in doing so, you didn't win the fight. You just face rolled through him. And you can't continue to do that through the other 12 villagers that are going to attack you all at once. So you need to do things like, you can't, like, see a group of bad guys and be like, oh, I'm going to cleave through all of them. You may want to stop back, throw a rock at the, you wait for him to pass, throw a rock at the last one, and go, hey, you, come over here, and then fuck him up in the corner, and then kind of, like, take his place, like, walking behind the other guys, and as soon as they notice you, go, surprise, and fucking stab everybody in the face. That's the way you kind of have to play. You know, play the game cheaply. Play the game in a little, weird as it sounds, play the game kind of like a little bitch. Go around a corner, shoot somebody in the face, and then go, you'll never catch me! Run back up to an open platform, and when they get there, open up your weapon and just unleash death upon them. You have to play smart. You can't just assume that you are bigger, stronger, better, and faster than every enemy, because you're not. That's the weird thing about this game. You are just as strong and you hit just as hard as just about everybody you're fighting. Most of the time, you're actually a little flimsier and you hit a little less hard. So you have to play smarter and you have to play more skilled, as opposed to like God of War, where they're just like, what's going to happen? You just keep pressing X and you're going to win.
What do you think about the fact that some people are complaining about the game being too difficult and they want it to be something else?
Get good, noobs.
The thing is that, to me, it's like if you're gonna buy a game and not do your research in it, then you kind of deserve it, because the thing is that the thing is that there can be hard games, there can be easy games. Why can't there be hard games? Why does every game have to cycle you through down every single corridor and blow up everything that's in your path?
Well, it's pretty simple. Like, if you want the game to be God of War or like a Devil May Cry in terms of where you can like really outwit and outmatch everybody, there are games called God of War and Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
you can go buy. It's not like no one's forcing you to buy Bloodborne.
Yeah, if you want those experiences, they exist. They're out there.
I guess here's why I don't call Bloodborne hard. There is nothing in Bloodborne that every single person listening to the podcast with a little time and patience could not platinum that game. There is nobody who can't beat that game. Play the way that they're telling you to play. It's Dragon's Dogma was very much the same way. Like, you got punished for not playing it the way that you're supposed to. It's a methodical game.
That makes me think about what you said. It's like, hey, I don't want to play you the way I want to play you. I want you to play you the way I want to play you. You said that in previous podcasts, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, it's not even the difficulty that's this game for me. It's one of those few games where, in order to get to the end of the game, you're going to have to be better than you were at the beginning of the game. And I'm not talking stat points or talent trees. I'm talking about you, the player. The game holds you responsible for an increase in skill level, which is something that is not only lacking in video games these days, but I'm going to go off on a tangent and move to social commentary. It's fucking pervasive through culture. It's 9 out of the 10 problems that we have. Like, this whole social justice warrior fucking white knight thing grows out of the same thing. It's everybody should get a trophy. Everybody should feel special. Everybody gets to be the world-ending, universe-eating god. It doesn't fucking work that way. If you want to be awesome, then get awesome.
But I think the thing about it is that also, remember that a lot of the current games also stem from people being very frustrated in games that don't, that have a high learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
Like permanent death or stuff like that. Just very difficult type of games, because that's what every game used to be when you were
back in the day.
Talking Nintendo.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The game never promises or tells you that it's going to be anything other than like a really tough experience. Like even in the review booklets that Hip Hop Gamer was talking about in his video, they tell you like you're gonna die. Like that's just it's
Yo,
just
how you gonna tell me I'm gonna die?
It's just like
That's
the
not
game,
fun.
like you're gonna die, and that's how you have to learn to play the game. Like you have to learn that, to be very conservative and be very smart with your choices. The game never says like, oh, you'll be able to murder like everybody and only die one time the whole game. Like that's just wishful thinking.
And even then, there's no satisfaction. You get no satisfaction for like opening a door or eating a piece of cake or taking a shit in the morning, because the things that just fucking happen. There's no effort to them. Like to truly feel satisfied, you actually have to have a little bit of I hate to be a narrative weirdo about this, but you have to have a little bit of a hero's journey. Like there's something inherently humanly satisfying that is echoed in stories from the beginning of fucking time about meeting a challenge, failing that challenge, getting better, training, finding an item, doing something to make yourself better, and then beating that challenge. It's a very simple biological fact that releases serotonin into the brain. And the problem is, little by little, we've been dumbing down our games to the point where you don't have to do anything different. I can't even think of a game where I've had to augment my play style in any way. Like, can you name a game that's been made in the last few years that isn't press X to win?
You mean literally? Because no game is like that. Literally.
No, all games are exactly
Watch Dogs.
like
The end of Watch Dogs was like that.
I mean, all of Infamous was like that. Skyrim is like that. Like it's got this weird randomness. You're like, oh well, that enemy just happened to hit you weird this time. Well, you just go do the same exact thing three or four more times.
I thought The Last of Us did a pretty good job of being like really tough on hard mode and making you think about how you played the game.
Last of Us it did, but I almost chalked that up to a stealth component. But I will give it that. There are games that get closer, but for the most part, I actually haven't had to try at a game in years. And it's not until you play a Souls game that you're like, oh man, I first tried the Cleric Beast, and I first tried the second boss, Father Gascon or whatever it is. That was incredibly satisfying, and then being just destroyed by the blood-starved beast time and time and time and time and time again, that was fucking humbling. And then when I beat him, it was amazing. Like it's a weird component that's somehow gone away from video games, and we've tried to replace it with caring about a protagonist or caring about your story or a very heavy narrative or leading on you to make choices so the world itself changes, which are all fine things, but I don't think they should be at the lack of actually like playing the game.
Man, I see you over there getting ready to say something.
No, I'm drawing.
Yeah, you're drawing.
You don't care no more. We're done with this conversation.
I guess I can see what Brett's saying, because like look at a game like Call of Duty, you get perks for dying, right? The game rewards you for getting killed. The only reward in Bloodborne is when you achieve victory. That was the whole point. That was the whole point of the Souls game. When you achieve victory, that's the satisfying moment. That's the only time that game says anything to you when you do anything, is when you kill one of those bosses.
I mean, you really have to be into like the highs and lows of dying and beating stuff to be really into. I would assume the Souls games and Bloodborne also, because there's a lot of lows when you die like over and over and over and over and over. But then, like Brett said, that one moment when you finally kill the boss or get past this tough part that you were trying to get through, it's like exhilarating, almost. It's ridiculous.
Oh, by the way, I need to say this. My boy Weapon X is watching us now. Brett is hidden right now because of technical difficulties. That is Brett Murdoch saying that. Brett, he really likes what you're saying. He's like, preach. He's 100% right. You're speaking to him. So there you go, Reggie. Shout out to you, brother.
All right. My man.
You did it.
Anyway, anything else about Bloodborne before we go on to just the games?
Just one more question. How's the controls? Because in Dark Souls 1, I thought the controls were not that great, especially doing like basic things like running and jumping.
They're pretty simplistic. They're not like super hard.
I actually like the controls. They're a lot more responsive than I thought they would be.
No, just general like how you run, how you jump, how you do stuff.
Well, you use circle.
in Dark
You use
Souls
circle
was-
to sprint. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it has very similar controls to Dark Souls, but they seem pretty responsive now.
And then how's jumping?
Jumping's fun.
You
So
only
jumping
can
in
jump
Dark
when you
Souls was
run. Yeah, it's still a pain in the ass. You can't just manually jump. You have to take a running leap.
Oh god, I'm glad that you can't necessarily just like hop around, because then PvP would be ridiculous.
Everybody
would
jumping
just
around
be
like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say is I have been sustaining myself off the tears of PC gamers for like the last week, because they are so pissed that they're not getting this, and they're so jealous, and they're talking so much shit. Every time I try and talk to a PC gamer, they're like, "Well, Bloodborne's not great because of this." You're like, "Fuck yourself! You're gonna go play Bloodborne."
You know what's funny is that Amazon France had like a listing saying that it might be coming to PC, and Sony squashed that like so quick the next day. They were like, "Nope, PS4 only, never PC. Don't even dream about it."
Yeah, they'd be stupid to put out PC. That's an exclusive right there. But Brett, what kind of shit are they talking? I didn't know about this. This is hilarious to me. Brett.
Oh man, and people want to talk about like oh well, like you want to see like high fidelity, go buy a PC. This game isn't actually in 60 frames per second.
Wow.
And it's barely reaching 1080p. They're just talking shit everywhere they can. You're like, I don't care, man. This game is so much fun. And the problem is like, and I will say this, and I may make some PC enemies when I say this, the PC can't play this game. You know why? Because the mouse and keyboard will not adjust to the finesse needed to play this game.
That is true.
You can go out. You can go out and you can buy a controller, but then everybody has a different controller. The playing field isn't level, and it ruins the whole spirit of the game. This is one of those games that can only exist on console because it comes from a console pedigree.
Yeah. And then, you hear that, Brett? That's them going, no!
You can't play.
Yeah, 4 people just unfollowed me on Twitter.
Yo, yeah, 4chan. They're going to come after you now, right, Chris? Let's move it on right now, because the same thing. Challenging games. Why do people love them so much? Back in the day, every game was challenging. Every fucking game was super brutal, because they think about it. All games came from the arcade, right? And they needed to be hard so they could suck your money out. And that came over to the consoles, and they just stayed that way for years. And then over the years, like, hey, we want people to actually finish their game, so let's make them easier.
Be nice if they beat this game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, shit, man, I didn't beat any game. Like, I beat Mario Brothers, I beat Mario 3, and I think those were the only 2 games I ever beat on Nintendo. Ninja Turtles, I didn't get beaten. Battletoads, I didn't get beat. No, none of those fucking games got beat. It was the Super Nintendo where I'm like, hey, I could actually finish a game. This is great, you know. And then Sony era, obviously, you could pretty much beat any game. And now, like, yeah, for the most part, even though it's funny, I still have that mentality where I'm like, am I gonna finish this game? I finished 99% of the games, unless I just stop playing them. But yeah, why do people love these kind of games so much? Because I was talking to Brett, and I'm a little bit weird about this. I don't find Brett, you were talking about the serotonin, whatever the fuck happens when you beat something. This is me. Maybe I'm just crazy. If I'm spending 4 hours trying to kill the same dude, by the time I actually do it, I won't be like, yay, I did it. I'll be like, man, this is bullshit. Fuck this shit. Why the fuck did it take me so long? So the whole sense of like satisfaction isn't even a factor. Like, when I was playing Demon Souls, I'm like, okay, I've been trying to kill this one skeleton dude on this bridge for 6 fucking hours. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I subjecting myself to this shit? Turn it off.
You're missing the facet, and that's the first hurdle that they go over. And I'm sorry to just leap in at you like this, but I gotta say this. Like, okay, the first thing is, it's not like you just slam your head against a wall for 4 to 6 hours, and then finally it breaks. You're like, ah, hooray, it's done. It's, to put it more accurately, you are walking along a bridge, and you're fighting skeletons, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and all of a sudden, a giant fucking skinned gargoyle with, you know, like flesh tatters hanging, leaps down from the balcony, 3 times taller than you, and smashes you to a fine red mist with 1 punch. And you think to yourself, this is fucking impossible and terrifying, and I'm clearly doing the wrong thing. And over the next few hours, yeah, you slam your head against that wall, but what you're doing is you're getting better. You're killing those skeletons faster. Each time you run, you find yourself starting to take down guys easier, and every time you make it to the boss, you have more health potions or more health. And you kind of lose track of it as you're beating your head against the wall, but there's this point in which you suddenly find out that you're Vampire Hunter D. as you're skirting seamlessly across this bridge, definitely dodging blows, one-shotting motherfuckers, rolling through to stab somebody in the fucking neck, and then you come across the gargoyle place, and you're like, it is fucking on this time. And like some kind of gaming god, a warm glow envelops your head, and you know when to dodge, and you know when to strafe, and you know when to stab, and little by little you knock this guy's health down till he's down at a sliver, and you feel that moment. You see him charging for it, and you decide you're gonna fucking go for it. You reel up your strong attack, you dodge under the claw, you sink that blade in him, he disappears, you get 10 million fucking souls, and everything in the world is right, Tony. Everything in the world is right, because you are an unstoppable gaming badass, the likes of which you and your peers have never seen before. And
yes.
You never feel that great playing God of War.
And
never. Not in a million goddamn years.
I actually completely disagree with that, because I actually feel, okay, here's the thing. I never beat that gargoyle. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, after the 45th time, I'm like, you know what? I don't even care about beating this guy anymore. Fuck this shit. I'd rather go play something I'll actually enjoy, you know? That's me. That's why I can't get into these games specifically, because I'm like, that whole release that you get, I don't feel it at all.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's why there are, like, so many games for everybody. Like, if you don't like Bloodborne or, you know, whatever game it is, really. Like, I know, like, the Devil May Cry 3 or 4 was, like, super hard on hard mode. If you don't like it and you want to play something else, you can go play something else.
Yeah, that's why I disagree with Hip Hop Gamer talking about, like, oh, this game is, like, unbalanced. Like, no, the game is perfectly balanced. You're just not playing it right.
Yeah, it's definitely made for a certain, like, subset of people that really enjoy, like, the struggle of dying over and over, or just struggling just to reach that, like, peak of, like, you finally did it. And, you know, I'm one of those people too. Like, I love, like, challenging games. I've never played the Souls games because I was a little late to the party on them, but that's why I jumped on Bloodborne, because I'm into games that, like, offer you a real challenge, because it feels better when you finally accomplish something in them.
Yeah, there's got to be, like, a balance, but like I said, it's just me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
But Brad, you and I talked about this. Most games, they're hard because they're cheap. You know, they throw cheap shit at you. So I think you're right. It's like, hey, I just stumbled into beating this guy. How is that satisfying? So I'm like, I don't give a shit about putting the game on, like, max difficulty or something like that.
It's not that you stumble into being that guy. It's like Dragon Ball Z. You're going in the weight chamber, and suddenly you fucking step out on Namek, and you realize you are insanely powerful. It's Karate Kid, where you're waxing on and waxing off, and suddenly you realize you're an insane badass. Like, games like this honestly make you a better gamer. They push your timing and your reflexes and your concentration and your ability to multitask to the fucking edge, and then some, and you get better. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is you're not a badass because you've unlocked a new weapon, or you're not a badass because you've gotten something on a skill tree. You're not a badass because somebody said you're a badass. You're a badass in spite of all of these things. You, Tony, the person sitting in the chair, are the badass, not the character that you're playing. You are a gaming guy to beat the first Demon Souls, and the same goes with Dark Souls. Dark Souls 2 doesn't fucking count.
By the way, Reggie is loving everything you're saying right now.
It's definitely a very different, it's a very different thing. It's like, in other words, as opposed to most games where it's like they show you. You always remember that question that happens in, like, a Devil May Cry game. It's like, all right, you see Dante and you're, like, slaving your ass off, beating the shit out of all those monsters, but then yet in the cinematics, he's literally doing things that you can't do.
Yeah, that pissed me off, man.
In a game like in these games, it's like all those you are doing all the badass things,
Yeah,
and
but
it lets you have
you just got to figure out how to do the badass things.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
And the game has evolved since the old games. I mean, in any of the Souls games, you either decide I'm going to be an armored tank, or I'm going to be this badass wizard, right? And just throw shit at people. Now it's like you have to think on your feet. You don't have a shield. And any shield you get is shit anyway. They're just going to knock it out of your hand. So you have to use a gun and some sort of sword or spear or axe. And you really got to think and approach each situation differently. Before, it's like, once you hit a level in Demon Souls, I was like, oh, I have this giant shield and I have a ton of armor, so I'm just going to walk up to you, like, blocking, and eventually wear you down. But, I can't think like that anymore.
That's not the case, man.
The other thing that
I also don't, for me in general, I don't like too, especially with certain action games, I don't like kind of slow, methodical things. I tend, whenever in most games, I always tend to do the same things where essentially I move into a melee mode where I just try to beat the shit out of everything. So it's like, I like the faster pace of this where you don't need to sit around waiting for them to come to you, though you can, in essence, play in that way if you want to.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to point out while we're on the note of being a badass and all that, I swear to God, this game, through some subliminal level, is designed in a mastermind fashion to manufacture badass moments. Because everybody I know has fucking had them, and I bet money everybody in this room has had a moment where you go through wading through like a group of villagers just fucking killing everybody. You dodge out of the way, blood splurts everywhere, you miss an attack, you go back, you kill them, and as the last villager falls, you transform your weapon back into the smaller version of itself, or hit your pimp cane on the ground, covered in blood, and it's just this moment of like revelry that you cannot manufacture that level of badass in any kind of cutscene or anything like that. Like, I never get as moved in a cutscene as I do watching my character crest a hill, seeing 3 werewolves, and watching her unsheath her, or extend her axe into a giant fucking halberd and go wading into them. It's these beautifully constructed moments that almost seem like they're out of a cinematic. And I've noticed little touches here and there, little lighting, little ways that they light, they'll cast lighting over here if you're going to be fighting over here, so that when you finish, or in the middle, or at the beginning, you're left with these very key moments that leave an impression on you, like, I am such a badass, or that was so incredibly fucking cool. Even like, I've heard Dark Souls fans refer to it as hitbox porn, where you'll make a leaping attack at somebody, and your character will duck just enough at the edge of it to have like a blade sweep 2 inches above their head. So the game seems to, and I'm not sure how they did it, but the game seems to kind of manufacture these small moments that make you kind of smile to yourself and go, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about some of our favorite hard games of all time. Segueing into it, let's go with Brian first. You haven't talked too much, just like I haven't talked too much. By the way, thank you, Corey. He actually gave me a shout out for not talking too much, just moderating. Why would I talk about a game I don't have? Some people, they will talk about a game they don't have, though. Anyway, Brian, what are some of your favorite hard games? I know you like super hard games too.
Not super hard. I just like to be challenged. Just depends on the challenge itself. Mainly, I'm trying to think of good ones. The obvious one is Dragon's Dogma. That game really did just wreck my shit so many times. And then the best thing about that game is that it was hard in the sense that it was interesting in the way that it used its mechanics. Like, for example, it's the only game that I know that had an actual night cycle, which felt like actual night. As in, like, there was no light about, shit was extra tough at night, and you couldn't see shit. For example, there was this one mission where I had to go to this fort on the other side of the map. So, of course, I thought, hey, it's nighttime, what can go wrong? So I go along, and then I'm going through this forest, right? And then I just hear, like, these wings just flapping. And I look on the screen, and then at the top, there's, like, a health bar, and then there's 7 dots. And like, each one of those dots is as long as the health bar. So then this enemy had like 7 times as much health as I've ever seen from any enemy before. And I was like, okay, it's nighttime, the goblin's about, I'm just not fucking with this. So I come back during the day, and it's a drake. It's a freaking fire drake that chased me like halfway up a mountain. And oh my gosh, when I first tried to fight it, I got the first health bar down by half in half an hour. And then I decided that, look, this is just not worth it. I'm gone.
That's ridiculous.
But yeah, it's just stuff like that, It's just like having an actual night and day cycle where the enemies are harder at night than they are at day. Like, for example, one of them would be a Cyclops, So the regular Cyclops would just have a club and that's it, Whereas at nighttime it'll be an armored Cyclops. So like all the places like the chest, the legs, the shoulders will have armor. And it'll have a fire club, so when it hits you, it sets you on fire, So there's that as well, and it's just, it's just brilliant. Another one I can think of is Lost Planet 2. Like that one was frustrating because it was just ridiculous. Because have you ever guys played like a Lost Planet game before, by any chance?
Yeah, the Lost Planet. Yeah, the first one was good. I didn't like the second one.
The first one.
I love
I
it.
played the first one. Yeah.
So you guys are familiar with the whole health thing, and essentially you had a health, I guess, a health counter, and then like every second it kept on counting down, and like once you reach 0, then your health bar started going down. So then to keep up your counter, you had to kill enemies and like take their energy, and then that's what you use to replenish your own health. So there's that balance of you needed to be aggressive to get or to keep above the limit of having no health left. So there was that, and of course.
Because the way they explain it is that the planet that you're on was really harsh conditions, and you needed parts. You needed the energy that all those monsters create to power your batteries.
Right.
Yeah. And then that was also the power for like your mech suits and whatnot. So there was a fine balance of do you go it alone without no suit, and then you have more to play with, or do you risk it all, go in the suit and like almost guarantee a win, but then of course like if you lose, then you lose the suit, you lose the energy, and you lose some life. So and you like replenish your life. So that high risk, high reward, it's brilliant. And of course the bosses.
The having to target the certain places, like just the simple mechanic of like, don't just shoot anywhere on it, fucking aim at its vital point. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this from my Contra years.
Oh yeah, and especially like some enemies. I remember there's one that had like, it had like 4 legs, but like the front 2 were like massively oversized, and then they had like weaknesses, pretty much where your bicep is, and then if you shoot them like enough times, then they'd explode, and then they'd lose that limb. So eventually you like just bring it down to have like no front legs at all, and then it just roll around on the floor like trying to attack you. I thought that was pretty cool. Apart from that, I can't really think of any really difficult games. Of course, the obvious one, Dark Souls, but I had issues with Dark Souls. I had issues the second that I got killed by an enemy that went through the wall. No, an enemy's weapon that clipped through the wall and killed me.
Yeah, that's not good.
That was something that I was like, because like they put in effort to make sure that if you hit the wall, then your weapon will just like bounce back. So then getting killed by someone who clipped through the wall was kind of like, it wasn't fun.
Bloodborne actually doesn't have that.
I don't know.
You can literally hit monsters through walls.
Yeah, and get hit by monsters through walls.
They even out that way. Hey Chris, get in here, man. What are some of your favorite tough games?
Castlevania comes to mind. I love that game. Original Metroid was freaking hard. That was ridiculous. I beat Ninja Gaiden on NES, and I'm very proud of that. That game took me days to beat, and I don't think I turned my NES off the entire time I was playing it. Because if you turned it off, you had to start from the beginning. I wasn't doing that. So
that's
I
how
would
it was
just,
back in the day, yeah.
If I needed to sleep, I just turned off the TV. That shit stayed on. I would just start playing the next day when I came home from school. I just left the shit on. Let's see what else. Oh, I mean, Ninja Gaiden didn't stop being hard. Even the Xbox one and the Sigma and all that shit.
Even the PlayStation one, Ninja Gaiden Black.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That one was super hard for me anyway.
It got more brutal. It was like I played the original one and then I played Black and I was like, this got worse. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I can't think of anything more. I mean, I played all the Souls games, and they're brutal, but I think Ninja Gaiden punished you in a different way. It just was like somebody pinning your chest and punching you in the face.
Damn.
Fair.
That game was it was not fair it was hard in a not fair kind of way.
Another game with werewolves that are incredibly hard.
Yes.
What's up with that?
What is up with that?
Seeing a theme.
Manny, what about you, man?
I would say actually the Metal Gear series. Some people might say it's really easy, but a lot of people cannot get into the game just because of that one mechanic, the sneaking mechanic.
Yeah. I remember when I first got 2, I was really turned off by it because I kept getting caught or dying so much on the ship. and I was like, what the fuck? I hate this shit. And then once you put time into it,
it's also what Brett was talking about before. It's a game that changes the dynamic of the way you play. You cannot play a Metal Gear game exactly like you can play any other third-person shooting type of game. If you get caught, it makes things way more difficult for you.
Yeah, see, this is why I kind of don't agree with you, because even on those games, even on the hardest difficulty, they're still kind of easy because you're stealthing around most of the time. When you get to the bosses, obviously, it becomes fucking
exactly.
ridiculous,
Yeah, it becomes incredible. Like just fighting the boss on hard mode is insane because she punches you once and you're dying.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, I mean, I don't know, man. I think you may have changed my mind on it. Metal Gear Solid 4 on hard was it was brutal, but it was fun too, man. Because those guys, they could hear you a mile away, you know?
But if the thing is that if you think about it, in a lot of ways, playing a Metal Gear game on hard mode is a lot like playing maybe a Dark Souls game, a little bit, because it's just yes, because it's like everything is sensitive around you. You have to master the stealth skill that you learned by playing the game over and over and over again from before in order to get through that mode.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Brett, what about you, man?
I thought actually I haven't played the newer Metal Gears, but I even thought the older Metal Gears, like you had to try it a few times to get the feeling down.
Exactly. To
get the mode down, or the general layout, or the first time you fought a boss, you never knew what they were going to do, and so I usually died the first 2 or 3 times until you kind of figure out their moveset and find a pattern. And yeah, I agree. That's a lot like Dark Souls. So I remember the first time I fought Big Boss, like I died like at least a half a dozen times.
Yeah.
So I definitely count that. Also,
and the thing is that it even uses that kind of pattern system that kind of Dark Souls uses a little bit too. That's an old school thing where it's like you have to find the tell in to how to beat them, and then sometimes they may have a second mode where they're really powerful.
Yeah, and then it fucking surprises you, or you're like, all right, I've got my route to the boss all mapped out, and then some guy just, where the fuck did that guy come from? Like, he just walks by, like walks around a hallway, and like exclamation point pops up, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
So next time you play, you're like, there might or might not be a guy that just fucking walks down this hallway for some reason. Like, you really succeed in a Metal Gear game the first time around, and I think that's one thing I told Tony. Like, I find I lack interest in things that I can just do the first time without any prior knowledge to how it's going to work. Like that's when I consider something too easy. Like if I find a new boss, maybe I should die the first time because I'm having to figure out what the fuck I'm doing.
The way I do any sort of game is I always test the sensitivity of the game. Like, in other words, like even with this game with Bloodborne, what I do is like all of this dying and all of this stuff that's happening is me testing the system to see what I can get away with or what things I can do. And that's exactly how I play a Metal Gear title, where it's like, okay, how sensitive are the guards here? Okay, they hear you here, but they don't hear you here. Okay, they do this, but they don't do that. And just creating these sorts of mental tells for yourself, to kind of get through everything. And that's why I'm not frustrated dying all the damn time in Bloodborne, because I just see it as of me just testing the system. It's like, okay, I died here because I tried to do this. What if I did this? Okay, that makes me get through. All right, cool.
Yeah, like Brian said, like, what do you learn? Like, you actually, it's kind of a meme, but you do learn something every time you die, even if it's just, oh, so that's where my hitbox is. Which I have to compliment this game. I have not found a hitbox. Like, I have not been hit without being hit once in this goddamn game. And I've had some, like, blades cutting, like, within 2-3 inches of me, or, like a claw that, like, you just kind of matrix dodge out of the way, and you're like, I cannot believe that did not catch my hitbox. So,
all right, Brett, so name some other stuff.
Let's see, Battletoads.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty hard.
Now, it's actually one of your favorites, though, because, man, Battletoads, I could not get past that bike scene, man. Like, okay, I'm done. Fuck this.
Yeah, well, it only gets worse from there.
Yeah. I could never get past that part, dude.
Let's see. I I really enjoyed Mega Man. I always thought Mega Man was pretty hard.
That's also one of mine too. It's like just those games are so brutally hard, but they also had that thing with like, okay, oh wow, look, I got past that silly Iceman part with those bricks that appear out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you learn the pattern, you're like, okay, I get Iceman, then I get Fireman, then I get this guy, then I get this guy, and then I get this guy, and then I can beat the boss.
Or finding the one other good thing about it is like finding the weaknesses of another boss. It's like, okay, you've beaten this boss. Oh, now if you use this weapon on them, it takes their power even way faster.
Mm-hmm.
Always like that.
Yeah, see, Tony, you've been playing games like this all your life.
Well, you just reminded me, Mega Man, that's an instance where when I beat that boss, I'm like, fuck yeah, I did it. Fuck you, Iceman, you know?
Eat a dick, Iceman!
Exactly. So there you go. By the way, you guys are giving a lot of my answers already. Contra, fucking eat Ninja Turtles. Remember that shit with the fucking, like, water you can't even swim through? What else? Fucking Mega Man, obviously. Castlevania was the shit. I love all that shit. I'm tough as fuck too, but it's like I want to play. You know. And modern games, I think they're just broken or something because it just seems like they're more cheap than anything. You know, it's like, all right, yeah, you got me. Fuck you. You know, then we beat it. It's like whatever. You know, you don't even feel satisfied.
I would like more arcadey type hard games. Like I really loved. I mean, like some people don't find it too hard, but I really love like Super Meat Boy. I loved N Plus was a really good one. I'm really excited for the second one. Super Hexagon and iOS is like that's like not like conventionally like they're not stacking up with like Mega Man and Contra and stuff, but like I don't think I've ever felt as good about beating a game as I did when I like 100%ed N Plus, just because it's just like so much like anger of dying like over the dumbest things, and then you finally beat it. And I was just like, I just didn't think that I could be that happy about like beating a whole game. But yeah, see, I like those kind of games, but Contra and Mega Man and all those are equally as brutal.
Yeah, are those ones you would mention for yourself?
Yeah, like Super Meat Boy and stuff. Yeah, those kind of games really, I enjoy those. I don't even know what you would really classify Super Meat Boy as.
A super hard game. That's what you
definitely tough. Yeah, the further you get into it, it gets really tough. N Plus is probably like one of the hardest games I've played though, just because it's like a lot of the movements are really sluggish, and I don't know if that's more on the game just doing it on purpose or what it is, but
you know what's brutal that I haven't played in a while is Rogue Legacy. Rogue Legacy,
that's a tough one. Yeah,
that's brutal in the same way Super Meat Boy is, and that Rogue Legacy pisses me the fuck off sometimes. Like, even as a Souls player, I'm like, that was fucking cheap. But it's all procedurally generated, so you're going to get moments where it's just, you're doomed.
It's stacked against you, yeah.
I noticed that, like, mega hard games are coming back. Like, even permadeath games. Like, I've never heard of those before until, like, maybe a few years ago. I'm like, oh, okay, you just die. You know?
Well, there was in Heavy Rain they had that.
Kinda, yeah, but I'm talking about like with indie games. It's like, yeah, you're just gonna die. And then I heard about this one game. I wish I knew what the title was, but it's like permadeath. It's like you can't even start the cartridge. I mean, the game up until if you die. It's like, whoa, they're not fucking around here. You know?
So there was this really cool game. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there was this really cool game at PAX East, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but. Basically what it is only one server exists in the game, right? And 8 people play at a time. When you die, you can't ever play the game again.
Yeah, man, that's super permadeath.
The whole point of the game is you're fighting the other characters. Everybody else in the game is watching and waiting to get their turn to play.
Waiting their turn to get killed.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. All right, so I guess the moral of this story is, what is it, Brett? Get good, noob?
Hey, learn to play.
Simple as that. All right, let's move on to some gaming news here. PS4 2.5 update is out, and some of us have tried it. Okay, so let me just run down what we have. So it has the, you can pause games and even put the machine on, standby. You can just pick up where you left off, which is good. It's like a standby mode for every single game, which is really appreciated. I always did a ghetto version of it, which is like I'll pause the game and just go back to the menu screen and just put my TV on like the other AV mode or something, but now you can just turn it off whenever. You could map buttons differently now, like custom buttons, which is really cool. And you could also get rid of the 0% trophies, which is fantastic as fuck. That
yeah,
shit.
because there's a couple on there on my list. I'm just like, whatever. I'm never gonna play that fucking game ever again.
You know, the custom button thing, I don't like. Look, it's cool that they're doing that because, like, you know, you want a game to play specifically like you want it. But the thing is, you can't save any settings for specific games. It's like if you change the settings, it's for every game. So if you switch back and forth, you would have to readjust your buttons and stuff.
You know, you just have to remember that you did it. You know, if you wanted to play, you know, that's the price you pay for changing your buttons.
Yeah, it's like, hey, like, you know, save a couple settings. Like, hey, this is, you know, save 1, 2, and 3. It's like, okay, save 1's for Bloodborne, save 2's for Street Fighter, save 3, you know, like stuff like that would be nice.
Oh my God, Chris, can you hear the people remapping their triangle button in Bloodborne?
Yeah.
Yeah, Riku, he remapped his whole shit. He said he made it play more like Dynasty Warriors now.
Why is that not surprising?
Yeah, it's not because it's Riku. By the way, Riku said he wanted to be on this episode, but he also didn't want to be on this episode because he wants to play Bloodborne. Fucking Riku.
I know the feeling. You're like, I want to talk about Bloodborne, but I don't want to stop playing Bloodborne.
Hello?
Oh wait, I think Tony froze.
Yeah, I think Tony froze.
He's frozen in a smile.
Holy shit, we got a picture of Tony smiling.
Green cap.
We can do whatever we want.
What was it? Yeah, like I haven't actually tried any of the updates yet, but I thought a lot of them were cool. I mean, as far as the controls, I actually think that's kind of cool. Sometimes I always feel like, man, I wish I could change the game. In fact, I usually go and look in the options menu to see if, you know, any of that stuff is there.
And sometimes they won't let you, and you're like,
they won't let you. Like I you know, the first thing I did was in Bloodborne is look for any changes and button change options, but they didn't have any of that. So I was like, oh well.
There was a lot of that deal with it.
Yeah, some of the games don't support a lot of the stuff yet. Like I know Destiny doesn't support the suspend and resume feature yet.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, I think.
But then again, you can't do it with an online game, you know.
That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of the games have to either like update to get ready for it, or, you know.
Yeah, Bloodborne, you can't do that. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, that would make sense because the game never is.
It doesn't pause.
There is no pause.
I know they did something to remote play too, because there was a Vita update today as well for remote play, and something in the patch.
Because it now runs everything in. You have the choice to choose the frame rate that you run it in. You can choose to run your games in 60 frames per second or in the 30 frames per second like it used to do.
Frame rate.
Yeah, so like in other words, also SharePlay runs in 60 frames, but you have to choose that option.
Yeah. Well, you know what I like? Because I don't know why this happens, but you ever notice in the party chat sometimes it'll just say your NAT type doesn't match and you can't talk to so and so, and I have no idea why the hell that happens. So you just restart the PlayStation. Now there's a convenient option in shutdown. There's a restart your PS4. You can just reboot it. You know, like Windows. So I'm like, hey, this is like Windows restart. I think
he froze again.
Tony froze again.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I'm weirdo. Yeah, I'm having some weirdo problems myself. So if I stop talking, man, you just keep it going.
Oh yeah, that's what I did.
Well, I think we pretty much covered the impressions of.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to really try it out. I just haven't had any time to actually pick up a controller and you know, to. I wish my even though my console's in sleep mode, I wish it just do it.
Yeah, I mean, it just came out today, so I don't really. I think I downloaded it, but I haven't really messed around with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I haven't messed with either, but you know, it seems pretty interesting so far. I want to see how the trophy things work, though.
You forgot about what I think is one of the most important things is that you can finally back up and restore your hard drive.
Oh yes.
Oh really?
Yeah, that is important. Yeah, that I saw that too.
That's most important because no matter what device you have, always back it up. Regardless whether it's PC, phone, consoles, back that shit up because if shit happens, that thing
lose everything, man.
That's when you just sell the system and give up on everything.
Well, even better.
Like, all right, well, my Bloodborne save is gone. All right, I'm done.
If anything breaks, okay, that's fine. Just buy a new one, restore the place where you left off. You're sorted.
Well, let me ask
because
I honestly don't know. I mean, like I know backing up is important, but for the PS4 and I think the Xbox also, don't they save on the cloud, or they have like
Yeah,
online storage?
There's a limit. There's a limit though.
Okay.
This is a painful topic for me.
First of all, PS4, there's a limit to how much space it is. Is it 2 gigs? I think it is.
Yeah, whatever the limit is, I reached it. I can't upload shit anymore.
Yeah, there's some limit to the PS4, and plus it's only if you have a PS Plus or a PS Plus subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Where Steam, it's free, and so is Origin, and so is Uplay.
I've had a problem with Steam.
I'm just saying that Uplay does it for free as well, and that's Uplay.
Wow.
I've had troubles with Steam's backup online, and
really?
Yeah, a couple games that I tried to play after my computer crashed. The saves were just not around.
You know why that happens, right? Because you also play on a console. That's why.
Yeah, right. So Steam knew, Gabe knew. He saw that, and he was like, "No."
But if you think about the advantage of a backup drive, is like you don't have to re-download everything. I had this with my PS3. My PS3 bricked. I bought another one. I had a backup. I backed up everything to a drive. I just waited the hour, and everything was back on.
That's it.
Console.
Yeah, I mean, all I remember is that backup shit took so long to do.
Yeah, it was worth it though. It was worth it. Like I would have spent a couple days trying to what games did I have, and I got to patch everything again, and forget that.
Yeah, that's how I lost my first Dark Souls save. I beat Gwyn. I ended up having to pawn my PlayStation, and I was so convinced I was gonna get it back, and I didn't get it back, and I could never have that save file
That's
back.
the worst when you're like in your head, you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get it back, it's right there, and then like as you're like looking for it, you start to get more and more nervous. You're like, oh man, maybe it's not here.
Yeah, no, they sold it. Like, I went to buy back my PlayStation, they had fucking sold it. I was like, but that's my first Dark Souls save. I just got a new game. Like, you don't understand, man.
Dude, that game is so hard, it will take the save away from you, man. That's how
That's what happened. From Software called up the pawn shop and was like, sell it now.
Like, yo, it was too easy for him, son.
Kid's getting cocky. Exit.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, that's updated. It's pretty cool.
It's a pretty decent update. It's like, again, just being able to back up stuff. It's like, dear God, finally. It's like that's like I think that is a very important feature for any device in general. Just
they updated some stuff for
so
the party system and stuff, but I haven't really gotten around to checking that out.
Yeah, and as a side note, because I have to say something. The share play is only the 60 frames per second is only available on games that run at 60 frames per second.
Yes.
I thought I'd add that in there. So,
well, the thing, it doesn't make
it.
It's
Like
not,
all 6 games that run at 6 frames per second.
It's not. Dude, it's not.
Jabbing.
Yeah, jabbing.
All I'm going to say is, just because it runs at 60 frames per second game in 60 frames per second doesn't mean it's special sauce and it's going to fix the frame rate of an old game that didn't have that. So, yes, a game that didn't have it doesn't initially run at 60
Manny,
frames.
he said that so he could point out there's only 6 games that run at 60 frames.
That's okay. What does Bloodborne run at on the PC, Brian?
It runs at 0 frames per second. Where? I can't hear you. I'm in space right now. In English. I'm exploring the entire galaxy. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
That's okay. Well, I'll be able to hear it too when it comes to PS4.
I'll be miles away by then. I'll be playing better games by then.
By the way, I want to say this is a completely non-secular thing. Your review of Elite Dangerous is a perfect example of, hey, read the review because you could be favorable and you could still be like, nope, this is not for me. Great review by you, Brian, but I'm like, yeah, this is not a game for Tony. Not at all. Like, the fact there's no story, I'm like, what is the point of this?
Why am I in space? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Click.
Like, I call those fiddly games. Like, I don't understand the point of just fiddling. So,
question: do you want to be Boba Fett? Have you ever watched Star Wars and thought, I'd like to be Han Solo or Boba Fett? You can do it here.
Yeah, but you can just do it with a little ship moving around space.
Yeah,
right?
no, see, that's why I'm waiting for Star Citizen. Like, I am waiting for the day where me and 3 of my friends can jump on board my blank class firefighter or Firefly type ship, scuttle across the galaxy until we find somebody, turn the guns on them, and then board their ship and absolutely fuck their world up. Like, that is the game I'm waiting for, and that's why like most of my arguments with PC gamers end with Star Citizen. I'm like, you're right.
They shut you up.
Elite Dangerous is a lot of fun.
That game's more than a game. That is like an entire virtual sci-fi world that they're building. It's ambitious. We'll see if it happens.
Oh yeah.
We'll see indeed. All right, let's move on here. Follow up to our big lead story from last week. We got the official word from Konami about why Kojima left and all this other stuff. And as usual, you have to translate because it's just mired in bullshit.
Wait. So did he 100%? Did he 100% leave?
No, he is still working there. But they still are skirting the fact that he might not work there eventually. But they're saying that all of this is like what I was saying before, where it was essentially a rebranding of all the Konami stuff. So every single Konami internal studio got rebranded to Konami game. Konami. As it was a long time ago. So like any other studios that they had that were called Konami something, now it's all just Konami.
Okay.
So that affects Kojima's guys and affects whoever else, and like the mobile guys and all the other ones. Though I don't know how many games that they're actually developing at Konami, but whatever. Yeah, that's it. And did Tony go blank again?
I think you might have.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, that's not. I don't know. I mean, there's not much to really say about it. I guess we just kind of have to wait and see if he leaves after Metal Gear Solid comes out.
Wait, I don't understand something. Is he tweeting at all, or is he just not tweeting through?
He is not. They're saying that all the all the other, like the Kojima Productions guys are handling the Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I went blank again.
Yeah, they're handling the Metal Gear Solid Twitter. So essentially, and Hideo Kojima and Ken Imaizumi are not really tweeting. They're not tweeting at all.
They also canceled his video podcast too.
Yeah, well, they canceled it for this week.
Right.
They're not. They said wait for any further information about the thing. They might just rename it to like Metal Gear Station or something silly like that. Mm-hmm. But it's an odd. Here's the question. Here's the thing. It's an odd time to do something like this. You wait till like you don't do it in the middle of a thing. You just start switching things around. So they're like we're moving them into the company infrastructure or whatever. So the way they handle their company is the way they're going to be handling whatever Kojima's guys do. Before there was a lot more freedom between Kojima's people. Like in other words, the studio was run almost like an independent / Western studio, where there were Kojima could pretty much do and say what he wanted, or create any games that he, create things without actually having to get the go ahead by Kojima Central, Konami Central.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of this is also them trying to deal with his nature of essentially just putting things out and like PT and stuff like that.
Yeah, but isn't that the thing? It's like, why roadblock him now? I mean,
why roadblock him now? I don't know. Maybe he did something. Here's the thing. Maybe he did something that said, "All right, fuck this shit. We can't have any more freedom here."
Well, maybe they were just kind of putting up with. I don't mean like putting up with it in like a bad light on Kojima, but maybe they were just sort of going along with it because he was putting out like the Metal Gear Solids and they were so great. And then maybe he was being really honest where he said 5 was it. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we want you to make more, and he said, nah. And they're like, oh, okay, that's it then, goodbye.
And the thing is that this restructuring actually happened before he even made that announcement in that video.
Mm-hmm.
He, like, in other words, you could go, like, they released this I guess this paperwork that said what people's roles are and stuff like that at Konami. So this was already known. It's just until they started removing the Kojima Productions logo from any of the Konami stuff, then that caused everybody to go, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they wanted more Metal Gears and he was just not having it.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think he just wants to move on from it, which makes sense. I don't mind, to be honest, as much as I like the Metal Gear series, again, I said this before.
They have to end eventually.
Yeah, they have to end eventually, and I'd want to see what other games Kojima has in them, because I mean, before the solid Metal Gear Solid games came out, he was making all kinds of funky games.
Like maybe he'll come out and want to make Zone of the Enders 3. You never know. You never know.
Can he make that?
Actually, the thing about it is
that's just me wishful thinking, really.
The thing is that also zone of enders can happen regardless of Kojima for one reason. He never actually directed that game.
Right.
It was just his people over there. Officially, you could kind of call Zone of Enders a tech demo for the new Metal Gear Solid 2 engine that they were working.
I think there's a huge disconnect and a trust issue with Konami because they've been bleeding talent for over a year now, and Kojima is like the next piece of that. But he's like the biggest piece. Like they've been losing little pieces, like the PES guys. You know, what's his name? Igarashi, the Castlevania guy. Tak Fuji even left. You know, the Love Plus guys left. It's like, how many guys can they lose?
Because again, they're trying to force this situation. You know, they're trying to have control, and they don't realize that them having control also stifles the creativity of their developers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like I said, it's just kind of like just waiting to see if after 5 comes out he really does leave. Because I mean, what's going to happen with like Silent Hills and
see, that's
the earlier thing was saying that that was a contract between Del Toro and Konami, and Hideo Kojima was just kind of coming on because him and Del Toro are friends.
I don't know. We don't know what that entails. I mean, will they even do that if he decides to leave?
Right.
Or if Kojima does decide to leave, what if he just said, "All right, you know what, Del Toro, we'll do our own thing. We'll call it something else.
We'll call it Loud Banks."
Loud Valley.
Yes. New franchise. Sexy male nurses.
Hold on, let me.
With bandages wrapped around their heads.
So let me pull up the. I guess we're gonna keep on going with the show. Let me just pull up the show notes really quickly here so we can see what's up next.
No, we should just completely go off the rails.
We should go off the rails. No, let's.
Time to free ball. I think Nash brought up sexy male nurses. Let's just keep going.
All right. What's your stance on that? Yes? No?
Yeah, we should actually call the hospital the Magic Mike Hospital.
Oh, yeah, that would be... Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you would get a lot... If they were qualified, you'd get a lot of people.
Well, everybody wants more women gamers involved, right? Let's just give them what they want.
I think
we can spread it around. Spread the sexiness around.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stay tuned.
Look out! Quick, get it back up! Hurry! Are we all clear? Oh, okay, we're all clear. Great. All right, hit the red button. No, not that button!
And now, Freakazoid.
All right, people, technical difficulties. These bastards didn't want to shut up. So we were talking about Kojima. I think we ended it, right?
Yeah, we're done with that.
We're done with that.
So let's move on. So thank you, Nash, for putting me onto this, because today I saw people quoting some shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Apparently it was David Jaffe, so we don't have very much context for the people. We're just throwing it out there right now, but it's just very interesting. So David Jaffe is mad at IGN for knocking God of War. I don't know what the fuck they said, but he was basically saying, like, oh yeah, it's because God of War games aren't artsy. That's why they don't like it. There's some truth to that. Anyway, I don't know where you guys, talked about this, what you talked about specifically.
Well, I mean, what we talked about was...
We talked about a little bit.
We talked about, in his big tweet, which I guess maybe we can link it and post the video or something. He talked about how God of War had these the tone of God of War, and like how he was talking. The way he wrote it, it seemed like maybe he was saying that IGN just didn't get the tone of the game. And what we were talking about, like inadvertently, we didn't know we were off air, was that like sometimes like games don't have to have tones like that, and like as a creator, like you don't have to convince somebody that like if they didn't like a game that like they just didn't get it, and that there's like missing things that they're missing. That was it. I'm sorry.
I like what Brett was saying. That was interesting. How what were you saying about Juvenile, his work or something?
Oh
like that?
yeah, that's the part that sticks.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
David Jaffe, Brett, is that what you said?
Yeah. I said fuck that guy. No. No. Okay. Basically, just that a lot of people's breakout work tends to have a lot of raw energy to it, and that comes itself with a lack of a level of sophistication, and very few artists can keep up that energy and that sophistication. So there's nothing wrong with, a game like God of War where everything is turned up to 11. But at the same time, that's not necessarily a sign of a sophisticated artist. Subtlety is kind of key. And the example that I used was I just got done watching a documentary about something called the Devil's Bible, which is a giant 3-foot Gigas Codex thing.
I saw that.
Yeah, and when they compared it to other 13th century Bibles, they could tell a lot of places where it didn't look as professional, it didn't look as clean, but it was immaculately done, and it was bright, and it was beautiful, and it was huge, and everything about it was just more and bigger, and it had more pages, and Old Testament, New Testament, a bunch of fucking spells in it, history. Everything about it was more, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. And when they were studying it, they kind of noticed that this was done by obviously an amateur because it studied older work, it derived itself off of older work, it didn't have a whole lot of professional training that was obvious to the eye, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, and I think that's very kind of similar to God of War. Like, yes, I think it was a juvenile game. It was, let's make him, let's be as sexy and as violent and as beefcakey and as shocking and bloody as possible. And there's nothing wrong with that if you want a good game. I personally think that his venomous response is due to the fact that every artist has something about their past work that they're not necessarily super thrilled with, or that they thought that they could have done better. And I think that somebody kind of touched on a sore spot of probably a point in his work that he critiques very heavily. And, this is probably a very rehearsed line of thought, like, no, it's not shallow because of this and this and this and this and this. And as I said when we went off air, look, if there were that many subtexts that people didn't get, then whose fucking fault is that? That kind of said that's not saying that your game is better, that's just saying that you've obviously failed at your narrative and just George Lucas'd your way into a success. So I wouldn't go about trying to defend the game by saying there's all these subtexts that you missed, because nobody fucking got them. But it was a fun game, it was a good game. It's just a little juvenile, and there's nothing wrong with that. I liked Hot Tub Time Machine. That was a juvenile movie. I like Smash Brothers. That's a juvenile game. You don't have to have sophistication in order to be good. Just, you don't have to pretend that you don't have to lie to party, bro. I guess.
I don't know if it's party, but the reason I wanted to bring this up as a story is because there's one thing that he touched on, which I think, is true. He's saying that a lot of these guys have lost touch with, kind of their like innocence or childlike, something like along those lines. And I think that's what it is. Like, they love video games for a specific reason, and then over the years they've lost that reason, and now they've started to hate video games. Like, this goes back. This is not just about David Jaffe. I'm talking about the whole narrative of everything that's been happening.
That's a false argument and no true Scotsman kind of thing, Tony. That's the same reason I could tell you, like, oh,
I haven't finished it yet, by the way. I haven't finished it yet.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So it's one of these things, like, these people, they get into this industry, they got into it because they love it. They love video games. At one point, something happened where they lost that touch. Now they feel like, hey, I need to be above this. I need to be better than this. What I liked before, it doesn't matter. It's juvenile. It's beneath me. I think that contempt, you see it felt in all these articles these guys write. And I think that's what's happening with these guys. They liked God of War. Now they feel, oh, I'm better than God of War now. This is beneath me. I think there's some level of that going on here. Now, Brett, retort.
Can you ask real quickly, like, what's that term called? There's a term for that, like feeling like you're above or you're better than everyone else.
Or superiority complex?
Elitism?
Oh,
Elitism, that's
no, it's not that. It's something else. It's
PC
like
Master Race?
No, it's not that either. Shut up, Brett. It's like
I
that
thought you were
feeling.
making like a fanboy joke. I was gonna say.
No, I'm genuinely being serious. There's like a term for like this overwhelming sense that you should like things that are quote unquote better than what you do like.
Well,
like,
I think
it's
more adult,
like not snobbish
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, snobbery. Yeah.
something like that. I'll find it.
I mean, I don't think that it's like they hate video games. I just think that it's like, because what I
It's
said.
not that they hate video games. They hate those kind of video games that they used to love. Now they need to like these artsy games just to save face with their peers who are trying to be sophisticated. It's like, dude, why do you have to try to be fake? Just like what you like.
I think a better argument there, would be that like some people try to maybe like say that they like games that are considered more arty or more like heavily like critically acclaimed, just to seem like that they're sort of connected with everybody else.
Yeah, well, not even everybody else, just with their peers. That's what it seems like to me. I think that's the heart of this, and I think that's what's going on. Like, oh, God of War, that's childish. We're better than that. Let's play some indie game. That's better. We're better than God of War.
I mean, I think what he said was true in the second part of his tweet, where he was saying that it's easy to get like certain people to like your game just by adding just by adding things that like make it seem like arty, but at the same time, like, certain people really do like that kind of stuff just genuinely. It's sort of like what we were talking about like with Bloodborne, where it's like, like some people are gonna like it and some people aren't. Like you can't try to convince everybody to like it by saying that they didn't understand like the subtle undertones of what you were trying to do.
Yeah, with that part of it, I kind of call BS on that. It's like God of War does have some subtle tones to it, but not what he described. Not really. Let's just be honest, Yeah,
I mean, when he described it as like growing up, like childhood nostalgia, I was just like, we must have been playing two different games, or I'm just dumb because I didn't understand any of that.
What I got from God of War is like, this is a badass Greek story in video game form. It had all the touches of a Greek story. Ostentatious, Brian, that might be it. But that's what I got out of it. The first half of his tweet, I'm like, I don't know about that. The second half, I'm like, yep, he hit it right on the head. These guys have lost touch.
Anyway, God, I fucking hate that excuse, Tony. That you've lost your childlike wonderment. Do you not like zombie games anymore because you've lost your childlike wonderment, or due to the fact they've been fucking overplayed and driven into the ground?
Yeah, that's what it is.
So it can be that something becomes derivative, played out, or that you actually grow in your taste and recognize the rough edges on something. God forbid that you grow as a person. It must be that you lost your ability to connect with your childlike wonderment.
These guys, you've been kind of calling bullshit on this entire time?
You know what? I don't pick sides. I throw my dog in the fight where I see the dog in the fight is needed, and quite frankly, like, that is a no true Scotsman argument. Is the kind of thing like, oh, well, you just don't see it anymore. Trust me, I do believe that you get into a certain... It happens in art all the time where nobody wants to be the asshole that doesn't recognize the sophistication in something, so you'll be able to pass things off as art when they're not necessarily art. And that opens up a whole new discussion. But to just basically say, like, oh, well, clearly you've just lost your ability to see this, or you've lost your ability to accurately judge a game, like, fuck you. Like, maybe, just maybe, your game isn't perfect. No game is fucking perfect. I've been praising Bloodborne this whole time. It's not fucking perfect. There's always room to grow. And the inability to take constructive criticism well, or the fact that maybe, just maybe, somebody's not into your thing and they're into something else, like, his reaction was infantile. It was unnecessary.
His reaction was Jaffe-ish, man.
Yeah, you know what's funny? That's literally what we said. I think that's what Manny said.
It's Jaffe.
He was just like, yeah, it's David Jaffe. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, but I like I said, I think the heart of what he's saying, I actually completely agree with. He just could have said it better. It's just like a hip hop gamer. I usually agree with the guy. It's just the way he says it I don't agree with.
Here's my big fucking beef. In his comment, like, oh, you just had a whispering soundtrack and set it in space and everybody thinks it's the biggest fucking thing. Yeah, like when God of War fucking released and you put it in a Greek setting and everybody reacted like it was the greatest fucking thing in the world. It's called doing something new, not riding on the back of everything that's been done before.
No, like, but he's trying to say that every game does that now. Like he even said,
every game does that now. The same way every game was like God of War after God of War came out. One game did something new and innovative. It was a critical success, and other people copy it. That's called evolution of an art medium, you fucking jackass.
Man.
Oh, angry.
Well, no, it's just, how dare you criticize people for doing the same shit that you did? You went out on a limb, you tried something different, it was successful, and then you beat that horse to death. And now, somebody makes a game with a whispering soundtrack set in space, it's new, it's different, people flock to it, and suddenly it's being played out to death, and people should be respecting God of War more. Like, your argument has no fucking weight. You're the world's largest hypocrite.
The thing is, I think also you don't really like David Jaffe, do you?
Yeah, no. It sounds like that.
Well, no, I like what he does.
Here's the thing, because officially he was the one that was being attacked, not the other way around.
Exactly.
You know what it is? He wasn't even I mean, like,
okay, let's say this. Nash, let's say this. He felt that he was being attacked.
He felt that he was being attacked.
They were critical of his artistic work, and he took that as a personal attack, and that's where my beef comes from, actually.
Yeah,
like
that's valid right there.
Yeah,
because if you can't,
they were being critical about it, and the guy from IGN even said, like, sometimes we need to have critical discussions about this. He felt that they were mocking his stuff.
It's IGN. They review video games. If they don't like your video game, put on your big kid pants and move on.
Damn.
If they give it a bad review years after the fact that it's critically acclaimed and you've made millions of dollars off of it, who the fuck cares?
Wow.
Is your ego so fragile that you need to jump in at every possible moment like this and defend it? Like, and that's where I'm like, I kind of like David Jaffe until now.
Wow.
We're going to cut this segment too. Well, all right then.
Now this has got heated now, man. This is crazy. I love it.
It's just fucking grow up. Like, if you're going to be an artist and you're going to put your shit out there, the first thing you need to do is respect and honor constructive criticism. Not if people are just saying, like, Jaffe's a jackass because of this and God of War sucks because of this. That's one thing. But when you're having an honest conversation about where something succeeded and something failed, to have that kind of response is not okay. And not only is it not okay, like, it would be one thing to kind of grumble and shut your damn mouth and take the criticism, but as an artist, you should hunger for that kind of criticism so that you can go on and make your next thing even better. This is gold they're handing you, and you're acting like they threw shit in your face.
Interesting. All right, I guess we're coming at this from two different sides. Because I'm seeing it from the other side. It's like, you pretentious, ostentatious, snobbish motherfuckers. Like, and here's the, and I'm conjecture here. I don't know this for truth. I think some of these guys still like God of War, but they can't admit it because they have to put up that face around their little peer journalistic buddies. You know,
you know what?
Cool.
I think, like, I don't necessarily buy that because liking God of War isn't necessarily bad. Not being able to see the relevance of a game like Gone Home, I'll agree with that. It may not be your game, but you should fucking recognize the relevance and the evolution of a medium when you see one.
Yeah.
People are trying
like I said,
new.
David Jaffe didn't, he said it the wrong way, but I think there's some truth to the part about journalists having, it's like being like, oh, I'm better than everything now. I don't even like stuff I used to like.
I think there's a certain amount of hipster that's bled into.
Yes, thank you, Brett. That's the word, hipster. Brian, that's the word you're looking for, by the way. I don't care what other word you're looking for. This is hipster.
Doesn't even matter, Brian. Whatever you thought, you didn't.
There's a certain amount of hipster that's bled in, and it's like, oh yeah, my Tangelo microbrew is way better than your Bud. Like, yeah, my Bud costs $2.
Did you see that video, by the way? Did you see that?
No,
video?
I didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna explain the video. This is fantastic. So they went to this bar in Brooklyn, right? This big hipster bar, and they rolled out a new drink for them. And the guy explained, like, oh yeah, it's made from the finest blah blah blah. It was aged blah blah blah, and they drank it like, oh, this is fantastic. What was it? Budweiser. But because they believe the hype, they believe the bullshit.
Well, that's what it is. It's all about perception, and like another good word for it is like some people definitely put on airs around other people where they sort of pretend that they're into like a certain culture or like whatever just for acceptance, really.
And by the way, fuck you hipsters, Budweiser is the shit. Just gotta throw that out there.
The problem is you have an army of yes men, and you need some asshole who doesn't care, and I think that's why I'm on the show, actually, who doesn't care what other people think, to come in and be like, no, I don't care if this makes me look bad, you're all being fucking retarded because blah, 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 blah. And I think you do have that. The problem is, like, that guy, like, you'll see 4 people standing around a painting talking about the juxtaposition of elements, and, like, you'll walk up and be like, that composition sucks, and this whole painting is terrible. And like you will not be invited back into that conversation, but it still needed fucking said.
Okay, have you ever seen History of the World Part 1?
Yes.
Okay, remember the scene where the 2 cavemen were looking at art? They're like, oh yeah, this is great. Brett, you're the third caveman. It comes in, looks at it, and takes a piss on it. Oh, fantastic.
Well, we have far too many echo chambers in this world. Somebody needs to tell you that you're not as special as your mom told you were.
Yes.
The funny thing is that, Brett, that's the reason why most of us actually like David Jaffe, because like he is like the game developer version of that.
That's why I generally like him, but his reaction this time is just way off kilter.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm just saying so that in like some weird, I don't know what it is, but some weird context. Like David Jaffe is essentially just Brett.
You know what's crazy is that just one and defending IGN. I don't know, where am I? What is going on?
Well, yeah, it's weird because I think he has every right to defend his work. I mean, he spent years working on that game, right?
Well, it's a situation where they're both right, and even David Jaffe at the end of the day said it, IGN's right to talk about whatever they want to talk about, and David Jaffe's right to, he doesn't have to like their views on it.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Doesn't this just reek of jumping in on a forum post that's been closed for 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why IGN
or commenting on an old tweet from a year ago.
It's because God of War 3 is coming out. That's why the conversation was brought back. Go ahead.
I think it's best that we actually get some context, because I think that would actually help out a lot in just straightening the arguments. Because I can't say anything because again, it's all about the context. I don't know what was said. All I know is Dave Jaffe's reaction. And
I still wanted David Jaffe to come out swinging all avant-garde style and be like, well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. God of War is awesome. That would have been the perfect response in my... you like cleaving enemies by the 20s? Fucking God of War is your game, man. You want to rip the head off a god? We got you covered.
And to think we were going to get rid of this.
Yeah, just revel in the amateur. Revel in the juvenilism of the whole thing. Revel in bathing in the blood of somebody who you just gouged their eyes out. Because, no, it's not sophisticated, but it's fun as shit.
Yes.
And that's the proper response. Not to be like, well, it's a metaphor for growing up. Be like, you get to tear a god's head off. That's all David Jaffe should have said to me.
Well, technically speaking, Kratos does have father issues. I mean, his dad killed him how many times?
He has a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the extreme metaphor for growing up, just overcoming issues with your parents.
Right, and then by the time you get to God of War 3, you punch Zeus so much that the screen turned red, and you're still punching him even though you can't see anything.
And then God of War Ascension came out, and you're like, all right, well, we're done with God of War.
Yeah, we're done here.
And that's when
Why am I still mad?
And then that's when David Jaffe distances himself from that series. I didn't break that shit. That's not me. By the way, Brett, this is the response you would have liked it. Fuck you guys, let me go count my money. All right, let's move on to pop culture. I don't have my show notes here because I'm afraid to open extra shit.
Don't worry, I got them up for you. Don't worry.
All right, good. So the first one is X-Files, right? That was the first one.
Yep.
This is
X-Files will be coming back as a 6-episode series.
Okay, man.
Cool.
Okay.
The original.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
When X-Files was first on, I think the first 6 seasons, that was my favorite show on TV. Manny, you remember this? All the time, X-Files.
I was angry at the show at the time.
Yeah, because it wasn't
about the X-Men.
Yes.
Why is there an X and then a dash and then not the word men?
There's a reason. There's a reason for that. The X-Men Series 2 cards on the back, they had the X-Files.
I was like, holy shit! It's an X-Men book. It's an X-Men story. No.
8 seasons of X-Men. Oh my goodness.
So I loved the show, and then after one point, the show was like, wait, what the fuck? Because it was obviously we were just dragging the shit. David Duchovny left.
The last 2 seasons were pretty iffy, but the show, I think, as a whole, was really good.
It was a great show. It was very cinematic for its time. It didn't feel like a TV show. It felt like a movie.
I would go the 3 seasons, Nash. Anything even loosely tied to that movie ruined that series.
Oh yeah, the movies weren't that good. But you know what was cool? You know what I enjoyed about the show?
build up to the movie was just like, this is bullshit.
See, I liked the last couple of seasons. They weren't great, but you could tell that they got to a point where they weren't afraid to try whatever they wanted to try.
Yeah, they did.
They were like, "Oh, we want to do this? Whatever, we're here."
Let's do a musical, just cause, But yeah, when they had the T-1000 on, I'm like, no, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, when Robert Patrick came on, that was the shark was jumped.
But yeah, okay, but this thing, as much as I love the X-Files, it just reeks of okay, let's bring the, it's like, why are you bringing up these old dinosaurs? I love David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, but it's like, why don't we have a new X-Files show with new people? Why not do that?
I think
but you wouldn't watch it.
I would watch it. I would watch that shit.
Yeah, I don't think I would watch it.
Well, you kind of did.
Fuck you.
You kind of did. You watched X-Files: The Next Generation. It was called Fringe.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just about to say that.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Tony. You actually already did watch a cast change, and you know what you did? You turned it off.
Which one?
X-Files. Remember when they switched out David Duchovny with Robert
but it was
Patrick?
already bad for 2 seasons before that. Remember that.
And you could have still watched it. They did change it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm hoping that they do is I hope because it's only 6 seasons and the main
6 episodes.
Wow, 6 seasons. I'm sorry, it's 6 episodes and the main cast is coming back and like the main showrunners are coming back. I'm hoping this is like everyone just got together in a room and was like, we fucked up the last couple of seasons. Let's just go make it right.
Wait, I imagine that there would be a lot of we had a really good idea until we started doing that movie shit. Maybe we should just do that idea.
I just hope they don't do what the final episode did, where it's just like giant recap. It's like, no, stop that.
Like the clip show endings.
Yeah.
Wait, is there room for one more? Because Kristen is the biggest X-Files fan.
Yeah, get her in here. Get her in here.
So she wants to get in on this conversation.
All right, so you get off, Chris. Bring Kristen in.
Also, in addendum to Chris's comment, they also made Warehouse 13.
Oh my God, Warehouse 13 was fantastic. Oh, I love that show.
It would be cool if, I guess, here's what I would personally want. Let's say the X-Files continued. There actually is a new cast, but they're like, hey, some shit's going down. We need the old guys who knew about this shit.
You know what maybe they could do is have these 6 episodes, and then, maybe, if the reception...
It could be like a pilot or something.
If the reception's good, they sort of bring it back
I
with
think that's what they're maybe going for.
Are they doing for a 10 years later kind of thing?
Yeah, it's taken up now. It's not.
It's now, yeah. It's like
see, I like that idea. That's always the way to kind of bridge that gap. And then you can kind of tell about what happened to Scully and what happened to Mulder in the 10 years since we've seen them.
He's old, but he's not old. He's only 50 something. He's only 50.
They both look really good for their age.
Well, they're celebrities. They have to look good. I mean,
some celebrities don't, man. Look at fucking Courtney Cox or whatever the fuck her name is. Ooh. Anyway, it's only 6 episodes, so they may not fuck things up too much. But
they're feeling things out.
I honestly think what they might be doing is trying to, like Manny was trying to say, that they might be making these episodes, and if the reception's good enough, making another show, making a branch-off show.
The X-Files tweeted at us. Now that's so fucking
really?
funny. Yeah, because I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's Kristen talking about it, right? And then X-Files is like, I
want you. Well,
right?
hey, is that guy who played the Smoking Man still alive?
He died though.
He did?
His character died.
Yeah, his character died.
Oh, the character. Well,
he's half alien or something.
It's the future, yeah. They could clone him or some shit. I think the actor's still around, so just put some alien bullshit in there. That he's back.
He's half alien. That's fantastic.
All right.
All right.
I'll be happy.
I don't know. I sent her the room link.
Oh.
All right. We can.
There she is.
Kristen. You look like a Jedi. No, now she's gone again.
Wait,
Jedi
what?
hood on.
Oh, I looked at the picture. And I was like, no,
I was like, Jedi just look like people. There we go.
The air conditioning vent blows on me and it makes me cold.
Okay. You're like, take your Jedi's weapon.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Strike me down with all your anger. And your training as a Jedi would be complete. All right, anyway, go ahead.
What's your take on the X-Files coming back?
Oh my God, you guys! I've been thinking about this ever since they announced it. I'm like, I don't even know. I have such mixed feelings about it because, there have been so many cases of shows coming back from the dead, and it just
I see a cat. Right on the other side.
It's probably a dog.
Okay, it's a dog.
There's probably a dog. I have all the dogs in here.
Sorry about that. Podcast dog.
There's so many cases where shows have come back from the dead, and it just wasn't. It didn't have the spark that it used to have. I feel really strongly that way about Futurama. I feel like it was just not good when it came back, and I love that show so much. So I'm really, really nervous about this. I want to be excited. But, I'll reserve judgment at this point. But, it could be good if they manage to get as many of the writers back as possible and as much of the crew back as possible.
Right.
But
maybe Gilligan will come back and direct an episode.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's actually been 1 or 2 people that were heavily involved in the show that I think passed away.
Yeah.
Either writers or directors. There was a couple people that actually passed away who were some of the best people that worked on the show. So there's that. They both look really good. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson both look really, really good. Like, I saw them at Comic-Con the year before last. They did an X-Files panel, and they both looked really good, all things considered. Like, they some actors just don't age well, and they both look pretty good. So I think in that respect they'll be okay. I have such mixed feelings about it, and I hope they tell some really good stories. I hope they continue where the show left off in the best possible way. Like, they answer some of the questions that fans would have had, and some of the story arcs they never finished. And the kind of the elephant in the room is the Alien story arc. They really never finished it, and the second movie didn't address it. So
and Mulder wasn't a werewolf.
He was not a werewolf, and I know exactly what you're talking about too. I'm just hoping that they tell some really good stories.
You know what?
I hope it's not a waste of time. I hope they really, I know people have a lot of mixed feelings about the second movie, and a lot of people don't like it, a lot of fans don't like it, but I think the reason for that was that they had a really small budget, and they were like making that movie off of their laptops, basically. Like, they had no budget for that movie. So I hope this time around they're going to get a decent budget, they give them the time that they need to do it right, and they tell good stories with it. And I think that Fox went for this because of the fact that they're scared now because Netflix is making original content, Amazon is making original content.
Yeah, they need something to sort of...
They really need to
we're
compete.
here still, remember? Simpsons, you remember?
Yeah, like, they desperately need to compete with these guys, so, that's why they went for this. So
I think the best method of, like, having, like, hope for something like this is, like, I feel the same way about Star Wars, because, episodes 1, 2, and 3 were pretty bad. Like, really, really bad. So when they announced that they were doing a 7th episode, and then you see, like, the little trailer or whatever, like, I have sort of, like, little to no hope or little to no, like, anxiousness to see it, because then if I have too much, I'm going to be let down.
Yeah.
But if I go into it with, like, it really could be a pretty bad movie, because we don't know what's going to happen, then even if it's, like, partially good, it'll
George
surprise
Lucas
me.
isn't doing it, though, so that already gives
Well,
me
that's what I mean,
hope.
like, even if it's partially good, it'll surprise me, because I'm not going in like, oh my god, Star Wars, I can't wait, I've been waiting for so long.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I have no expectations, and I'm like, if I see it and it's even halfway decent, I'll be really pleasantly surprised. So,
So I feel similar with the X-Files, where it's like, if they come back and they do a good job, that's great, but if they don't, then it's just like another bad season.
Yeah, it's just 6 episodes, so it don't matter.
I mean, the thing is that why can't shows be like short like that? Like, like back in the old days, that the show Columbo, that show used to be like every 2 months or something like that.
Well, that's like the pilot length normally now, right? It's like 16 episodes, and then if you do good, you move on.
Well, don't forget, Walking Dead started out like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That was supposed to be
worse from on and on.
That was supposed to be a mini-series, and it exploded.
It should have been.
Oh man! All right. So, anything else about the X-Files? We're going to move on.
Everybody believes
cautiously optimistic.
The doggy's like showing us his belly.
See what happens when you believe? This is what happens. We
believe.
This is what happens.
All right, let's move on. What's our fucking Jesse Eisenberg, right? That's the next thing.
Jesse Eisenberg. The first picture of Lex Luthor came out.
It's Adam Sessler. Adam Sessler.
He doesn't look like Adam Sessler to me. He looks like young Hank Schroeder from Breaking Bad.
Jeez. So does that mean that Adam Sessler looks like a young Hank Schroeder?
Or Lex Luthor, yeah. One of the two, definitely. No, Adam Sessler looks like a skinnier Hank Schroeder.
Do we have any details on this Lex Luthor? Because I didn't bother. I saw the image and I was like...
No, I don't think... they're being really...
What?
They're being sort of like anti-Marvel. They're kind of just like holding everything close to their chest.
Why? Number one, here's the thing. What are you going to expect from that? It's just him with his head shaved.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they showed. They didn't have a little tidbit of information.
He didn't have a beard. It's like, okay, what? He's bald. Great.
I noticed he wasn't wearing a
Hey,
business
Lex Luthor's bald too. What a coincidence.
Yeah, I noticed he wasn't wearing a business suit. He was like wearing normal clothes or something.
Well, he looks like he's in a prison jumpsuit.
Yeah,
that's what I thought as well.
I guess that's what it is. The greatest criminal mind
of all time.
Well, no insult to Jesse Eisenberg, but Lex Luthor should. I expect him to be like a little more manly, you know.
Yes, intimidating.
It's like,
well, the thing is that like he uses his brain a lot. Like he's like the smart guy. He's not like the.
So he's supposed to have some kind of presence about him, you know.
Yeah, but now he's this little nerd. He's just going to be this super smart, bald nerd.
Well, doesn't Lex Luthor go around in robot suits all the time? So he could just do that.
This version of Lex Luthor. Oh, Brett, go ahead. I heard that sigh. Actually, I want to make my joke about Lex Luthor being mad at the Bros Before Hoes trophy.
Lex Luthor, ruler of Australia.
Anyway, Brett, go ahead. I heard that sigh.
Can I just say, like, really quickly that he can borrow the suit from Rhino at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, he could.
They'll be using it.
Yeah.
Just paint it green and purple. And he'll be all set.
Just paint it green and purple. Yeah.
Well, make use of the suit now.
Yeah, right. Somebody has to.
Sorry, my delayed laugh, but thinking about that shit's making me laugh.
Yeah, man. Brett, get in here. I heard that desperate, angry sigh.
So I'm supposed to be looking at a picture of Lex Luthor, but I can't seem to find one. All I can find is a picture of this skinny fuck.
Oh, shit. See, I was trying to be nice about it.
Keep it real, Brett. Keep it real.
Why isn't Bryan Cranston Lex Luthor? For the love of everything that is holy and good casting, the fuck is wrong with you, Hollywood?
That's all I can think. You didn't think Kevin Spacey made a good Lex Luthor?
No.
Kevin Spacey made a way better Lex Luthor.
I did like Kevin Spacey.
He was the best part of that movie.
Yeah,
Really
Kevin Spacey is great at being maniacal. Like, no, I have no problem with that whatsoever. But Bryan Cranston should be Lex Luthor.
It's not going to happen, though. You're going to get this skinny little bitch.
Yeah,
I
know.
Can he eventually turn into Bryan Cranston? Like, in other words, like he just wakes up in the next movie and he's a Bryan Cranston.
Like by an aging ray or something. Like he's so fucking young. Like when was Lex Luthor younger than middle aged?
Yeah, like when he
was born middle-aged.
In Superman comics, basically.
Well, no, but I mean, wasn't he always the same age or older than Superman?
Yeah, he was.
He's never been. Superman. Yeah, he's never been younger than him.
Like, how old is Superman though?
Superman's supposed to be in his early 30s.
Yeah, no. Somebody watched like the Facebook movie, and they're like, well, you know, Lex Luthor is the head of a giant corporation. We could use this guy because he could be the head of a giant corporation.
Yeah, wasn't he in that one movie, the Facebook movie?
Yeah, he was.
He was Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, there you go.
Brett, I'm sighing because I know that's exactly what they thought. That's exactly.
I mean, Jesse Eisenberg's not a bad actor though. He's a
Did you see him in that movie?
Yeah, The Social Network was great.
No, it wasn't. That was a terrible movie. That was a horrible movie. It had the shittiest acting, like the dumbest premise, terrible movie. He was a shitty actor. Everybody.
The premise was real life. That's what happened.
Yeah, but it was okay, Tony. The thing about him is he's not a bad actor. He just doesn't display the gravitas and self-confidence bordering on narcissism that is what Lex Luthor fucking is.
Thank you.
He's famous for having this kind of high anxiety, kind of doubting himself kind of acting, where he's angry and he's anxious at the same time, and things happen to him. He's very reactive. He's not. Lex Luthor can walk into a fucking room and grab everybody's attention, and that's why I say Bryan Cranston should be him. He should draw your eye. When Lex Luthor goes fucking quiet, you fucking listen, and that is not the air that this guy gives off. And like, I understand that they're playing a role, and on paper he probably ticks off all the marks, but he doesn't fill the spirit of what it's supposed to be.
Agreed.
And you're changing the spirit of Batman, you're changing the spirit of Superman, and now the spirit of Lex Luthor. I don't mind how you took it with Superman, because quite frankly, I thought it could have gone that way. But you can't play it fast and loose like that with well-established characters. I understand whoever's fucking writing this or directing this, you want to make your mark. You want to do something different that is a choice that you will be remembered for and lauded for, because that will make your fucking career on a movie like this. But you need to stop putting your fucking career before the movie that you're making, because you're doing nothing but hurting the fans.
Ooh, well said, Brett. You're on fire.
What I think it was is that because they're doing like this is just like the introduction for Lex Luthor. You know, he's probably going to be, you know, it's probably like Marvel. They probably signed him on for like 150 movies until he dies. He'll be like Lex Luthor. So you really have to get somebody. I don't want to say like super young. I don't really.
Then why did they get an old Batman?
I don't know. I don't know what Zack Snyder's plan is, to be honest with you. I mean,
I don't think he has a plan. I don't think they had a plan till they started making and casting this movie. And then everything
you know what?
started to evolve out of it.
I think the Ben Affleck casting is great, and I think he's
Let's not
gonna
get
be
into
great.
that. Let's
He's
not
gonna
get
be
into that.
great.
Affleck.
I don't know. I question the entire cast, like the from Aquaman. I mean, Jeremy Irons as Alfred. I would never trust this guy to serve me tea or be like, "Is it poison in this shit, motherfucker?" I've seen your movies.
I've seen your in the middle of Batman. I've seen your movies.
I've seen your
God
movies.
damn you, Alfred.
Can somebody just walk in with like a fistful of the concept art from Batman the Animated Series, throw it at the director, and go, "This is what the fucking characters are supposed to look like"?
Yes, I agree with that.
I think I'm kind of with Manny, where it's just like it's just a picture of him, and I'm in the same boat as where I am with X-Files and Star Wars, where I'm like I have no real big judgments on it. Like I'll see it, like I'm excited to see what they do.
Hey,
I like the Dark Knight Returns, so I'm excited that they're taking stuff from that.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, and this tell me the wrong words right now.
Okay, I'll tell you why, Tony. Like Lex Luthor has like if you break down Lex Luthor, he's part mad scientist, part supervillain, part big business, and like 60% your dad. Like that is the archetype that Lex Luthor is built on. He's an older guy. He's a father figure who's gone off the rails and is incredibly evil. He's supposed to be a little bit meaty. He's supposed to look a little bit older. He's supposed to look like a guy that could hold it. Like Lex Luthor should look like he can beat the shit out of you in a bar alley, but still wears a fucking ridiculous fancy suit and rides a hover scooter. Like, there's so much of Lex Luthor that is based on the archetype of the larger-than-life scientist from the 50s, which in and itself was an archetype based upon the idea of the Norwellian or the Rockwellian father figure, that you cannot take that bit out. You cannot make Lex Luthor like a creepy cousin who just happened to make a good business decision. He's supposed to have that paternal air to him, and that's where part of his authority comes from.
Brett, you're on fire tonight, man. I wish you felt that way about
fire.
I wish you felt that way about Dr. Doom. Then we'd be on the right page, man. But that is Lex Luthor to a T right there, man. And these guys just don't seem to get it. Jesse Eisenberg, he does not display that gravitas, like you said, man. This guy walks into a room, you won't know who the fuck he is. She'll slap him just walking into the room.
You know what happens when he walks in the room? I go, oh, hey, it's the guy from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, exactly.
the mutant version of him.
But, I mean, it's the idea now that he's not a mad scientist. What is he going to be like, well, I invented a social network? It's like, no, that's not how Lex Luthor made his money.
Oh no, don't do that.
No, he's probably going to be like, he's probably going to invent the DC.
He's going to be evil Steve Jobs. That's what he's going to be.
He's going to be evil Steve Jobs or evil whoever invented Google. Like, it's like, oh, look at my search engine. It's Lexul.
Yeah, Lexul.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. They're doing less man of the 1950s man of science, more Silicon Valley CEO.
Well, I mean, that's what he became. Yeah, Silicon.
Whatever.
To be fair, that's what Lex Luthor became in the 80s. They're like, I remember this from this comic book documentary I saw. It was the greatest thing. It's like, oh yeah, in the 80s, you can't really make a mad scientist. That's not evil anymore. What is the most evil thing you can create? A rich businessman. So
yeah, but like he dabbled in weapons dealing and manufacturing. Like that was where he got the shit to make the giant robots to fight Superman.
And who designed those? He did. Do you believe this guy Eisenberg designed his robots? No.
No, well, especially if they make him like, oh, like he's a computer genius. Like, where the fuck did he get the giant cannons?
Well, that would be about as stupid as Superman 3, where Richard Pryor goes from computer programmer to making an ultra death machine.
That's what I do, Superman.
No, sorry, I remind everybody about that.
No. Chris, you already lost me at Richard Pryor is a computer anything. You already lost me there. Ridiculous. So, I don't know.
I just wish some of the people who are making these movies understood the intent of them.
But you would think Zack Snyder would. Damn it! I think
you would think so. But like I said,
that's why it's like I don't have like a lot. That's why I'm not like trying to hate on the movie too much because with his comic book stuff, he has never done like a horrific job.
He hasn't, but this movie is making me question him, man. Like
he wants to make his mark. He's at the point in his career where he wants to make his mark and he wants to reinvent the wheel.
Let's just be honest. I have to ask this. Do you think it's really him making these decisions?
Oh, no. Not solely him. Not at all.
Because I'm thinking he's like, no, we should, like, that's not Lex Luthor. Sorry.
You know, man, there's so much business that comes in with this, though. There's so much internal politics that, you know, you want to float this guy as an actor because it's going to make this agent happy, which is going to make this person happy, and they're helping to bankroll the movie. Or somebody comes in and says that they'll partner in and help foot part of the bill, but they want this person playing this or that kind of thing. Or they'll put in money or they'll help with this if so-and-so gets an audition. It's a bunch of internal politics, and like I said, it's just people wanting to, like, if you made a Superman movie by all the rules and followed, you know, and cast well, people would say you made a good movie, but you wouldn't be remembered for your daring choices in a successful movie. So it's almost more rewarding for the people working on this to make a movie that's a 7 out of 10, that some of the choices that they made worked, than you know, making a 10 out of 10 movie where nobody gets credit. It's the fucking giant spider in Superman all over again. Like, oh, let's put a giant. You know the old Kevin Smith story.
By the way, a giant spider that ended up in the Will Smith cowboy movie because
it ended up in Wild Wild West, which is a perfect example of how this shit works. Somebody is convinced that they have an idea that is so good, and they're going to attach their name to it and push it all the way through, and they end up fucking just. The movie ends up paying for it because they're trying to make their career on the back of the movie as opposed to making a career of doing good work. It's everybody wants the shortcut, man.
Ugh.
A year from now, we will be 2 days removed from Batman vs Superman. So
yeah,
I guess we'll find out. Yeah, March 25th. March 25th. Yeah.
At this point, it's like I think we might be better off just buying a bunch of action figures and making our own movies because this is ridiculous.
Or just play Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, let's start wrapping this up because Brian needs to go to bed. I see you tired over there, Brian.
I start working 3 hours.
Shit, no joke. Right, let's wrap this up. All right, okay. Nobody came through with the contest. We have a fucking code here for you guys. Nope, these guys.
What is up with you people?
Like you don't want a PS. Okay, I guess they don't want the PSN card.
Yo, man, I guess you don't want no PSN.
So I'm picking the guy who asked us the question. Dio, you're getting a $20 gift card. PSN. I'll hit you up because I know how to reach you. You won. Where's the fucking claps?
All right, Dio.
Put some claps in, god damn it.
Yeah.
You gotta put some like passive aggressive claps in there because nobody else claimed it. Just like whatever, yeah, you did it.
Hey, man, you know what? You fixture around
listen,
here. He deserves that shit.
Listen, guys, when you win, you have to answer. You fail.
Yeah.
Great. And last thing. Otanime episode 3 is coming. We're going to be talking about Makuros. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm going to go crazy on fucking Harmony Gold, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that.
No, man, don't be too harsh with those guys. You know, half of that stuff is in their decision.
Nowadays it is, kind of. But we'll talk about
that's just a little sneak peek right there.
Yeah, it's a little sneak peek of what you're going to expect right now. I don't know exactly when this is going to air either.
Tony's going to go all David Jaffe on whatever company he just said he was going to.
Harmony Gold.
Sitting on fucking Macross. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, which sometimes fails us. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Throwdown Show and on Facebook. Links are available in the description below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
Later, guys.
Kristen Carella.
Oh, bye, guys.
He's not the Emperor anymore. Chris Seeley.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Anthony Nash.
Good night, everybody.
And, of course, Brian Manjoma.
This was the episode where we talked about a lot of bad movies.
Yes,
Superman
and before
3,
I forget,
Spider-Man 2, and
God.
Yeah.
and last but not least, Brett Murdoch. I almost forgot about you because you're not Brett, you're Rachel right now.
If nobody else is going to say it, then I will.
You're Rachel.
You're Rachel.
The truth is out there, folks.
The truth is out there.
There it is.
All right, people. Peace.
Hey, people.